Maryland. How's it going? I saw your stuff that Dark was talking about. Very interesting. Hope you're coming to Bitcoin Info. It'd be great to see you. Yeah.
Fred? Shit. Fred, can you hear me?
Can anybody hear me? Thumbs up if anybody can hear me. Fred, are you there?
Can you hear me, Sean?
There we go. I can hear somebody now. Who is that?
Who did?
Heck yeah, I see you now, brother.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Fred, but at least we got something going here. How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. Gonna see if we can get some more people up here. Fred must still be there because he added people, right? But maybe he's having some difficulties or he's busy making a sandwich. Puncher, haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing, man?
Good, Sean. How you doing? I thought I was going crazy. I'm like, why can't I hear anybody? What's going on here?
Even radio silence is one of the better spaces these days. So it was all right.
All good, brother.
Got Jacob here as well. Was anybody here when he started? What was the topic? 80K is so close. Whatever.
Yeah, he invited me to co-host and then silence.
So how about them numbers at Strategy, eh? Think they're gonna start buying Bitcoin anytime soon?
I haven't even looked. What's the latest there?
So according to my math, the last 12 weeks combined, Strategy has still been a net seller. They've been stacking the most pristine collateral, the best asset out there, US dollars. I think they're up over 5 billion on the balance sheet now.
What's MSTR at the close today? The price?
I think it's like 120 something, 122.
Hey, how about strike or stretch?
Stretch, the big one that they're pumping money into, that's 97.21.
Oh, getting close to par.
I think they wanted, I know they changed their goals and metrics quite a bit, but they talked a lot about between 95 and 100, depending on the price of Bitcoin and other metrics, they'd likely be buyers, but they've obviously been in a panic and forced to sell Strategy shares and sell Bitcoin to try to prop up artificially Stretch. But now that it's close to 100, maybe before Bitcoin breaks 80, they'll start buying a little bit more. I don't know,
man. It was weird because Fred was saying, "Man, we're really close to 80." I'm showing us, I'm showing us not that close to 80. I mean, fairly close, but not like on the tippity top. I'm showing us at 79.5, which is close, but no cigar.
Yeah, I think depending which exchange you're looking at, like I'll pull up Coinbase's, and earlier this morning I think it was 79,999.99 was the highest trade on Coinbase, 1 penny off. So
yeah, it was. Now it's at 80. I'm showing 80 on the button.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah,
I think it was at 79.9 around 15 minutes ago or so. So it depends on what platform you're looking at.
Yeah, I was literally laughing because somebody on Coinbase would have had to put a buy order in probably, and it was sitting there at 79,999.99, and it hit, but everybody's sitting at 80,000 didn't get filled until 12 minutes ago when it finally hit 80. So it's kind of like knocking on the door a few times, and then it'll finally break through that wall, I guess.
Is there a big sell wall at 80? I guess I'm sure there is, right?
Yeah, especially on those $10,000 marks. I don't follow it enough. I know it's not really technical analysis, but I know the TA guys love to post it when we get to those walls. And it seems like there's another big one to break through.
Well, Sean, I don't know if this is your big debut or not, but you're the host, brother. What are we talking about?
Oh, yeah, good point. I guess I could change the title, huh? Should we be strategy maxis, or what do you guys want to talk about?
Oh, God, no, please.
Jacob, what's new in the world? What are you seeing?
Jacob?
All right, there we go. 80K is so close.
Hey,
Fred
Punch.
can taste it.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, lay it on me, brother.
So after this whole, and we don't have to go into it too deep, but just after the whole Coldcard and self-custody situation, like, what's your take on it and your approach when it comes to recommending people Bitcoin? Like, I don't know. For me, I don't think I'll recommend self-custody to anyone unless I know they're really willing to dive in and dig deep and educate themselves. Like, even at that point, I just don't even know anymore. But just wanted to get your take after everything that's gone down. Like, do you still self-custody at least, or and how would you approach friends if they were to come to you and direct them?
Oh boy. Yes. I mean, the qualities that make Bitcoin a store of value are the ability to self-custody. Is the ability to self-custody. My world in my head, I hate to go down this rabbit hole, is bifurcated between pre-August 8th and post-August 8th, unfortunately. But let's just say that I'm wrong and that I think everything's fine. And I think, I come from a background where, like, let's say, inside the DoD, but spending time with people and having done things with other three-letter agencies. Like, I don't believe in coincidences, especially coincidences that all happen to around the same time, that kind of dissuade people from self-custody, and that it's too hard and it's too confusing, and that if you own Bitcoin on an exchange, you actually own Bitcoin, which you do not. In most cases, you own a paper derivative of Bitcoin, which defeats the whole purpose of owning Bitcoin, right? Let's just assume that Bitcoin is still money outside of the control of those who would debase you or could debase you. Let's just assume that. Almost the only, forget about the UI, UX and all that and all the cool whiz bangs and whistles. The only thing that anybody who creates a self-custody device of any kind, we'll get to multi-sig in a little bit, is to make sure you have proper entropy, period. I find it impossible to believe that think you're some entrepreneur and you're going to develop some kind of self-custody wallet and you don't know that, and your main goal was that you somehow forgot that it was your responsibility, because at some point people are going to trust you if you want to sell some of these things. That's what you're in business for. Somehow you didn't realize that proper entropy was really the only thing you had to do. I find that impossible to believe. So I think that Coldcard, and you're not hearing from these guys anymore. Like, they're kind of disappeared for the most part. I think these guys were operatives.
I had full
Now,
Coldcard setup, Punch. I was fully Coldcarded out. I'm from
yeah,
Canada. Yeah, like when that week went down, like, to be honest, the bear market, the spaces have been, and I'm sure you would even agree with this, like, it gets dull, it gets noisy. So I wasn't even that tapped in as I maybe was like a year ago, but I still surf, and I just saw the whole Coldcard thing go down. And I had them split between MK4s, Qs, single sig, no passphrase. And yeah,
how'd you make out? How'd you make out? I mean, if you don't
I
mind
made
saying.
out okay. Nothing happened.
Good.
Everything was good.
Thank God.
I had an extra. I was gonna move everything to the exchange, which just like tripped me out. Like, I'm a younger guy, right? So like 95% of my net worth is in cold storage. So when
Yeah,
even now it's scary, bro. Like I went full multi-sig, multi-vendor, like got that fully set
that's where
up.
you are currently. So you're out of the exchanges. You're self-custodying multi-sig.
Yes, sir. Yep. Multi-sig, 2 of 3, 3 different companies. I got a Jade, Keystone, and a BitBox. And I worked through Sparrow and got a watch only on Blue. And
You got a
yeah,
hell of an education, and you're none worse for wear, which is unbelievably great.
I feel good. I sleep good at night, but it's still just like a scary situation, man. I just, like, Coldcard was the gold standard. I had a buddy get into it. Like, he's not nearly as educated as me on Bitcoin, but he wanted to hold cold storage. So I got him card MK4 like 2 years ago. So that night he just came by and we just did everything and just got it off I had a different wallet that I could send it to. He went to an exchange, but we both set up multi-sig, so it's all good. But just a trippy situation, man. Like, fuck.
No, listen, dude, I'm happy for you because I have lost. Look, at the time, it wasn't a big deal, but it was a lot of Bitcoin back in 14, 15. Like, I've lost Bitcoin. I know the feeling, man. I know I've faced bankruptcy outside of Bitcoin before where, like, I had a $4.5 million judgment against me and I didn't have fucking a pot to piss in. Like, I know that feeling, and it is god awful. So, congratulations. I mean, some people aren't as lucky as you were. Let me go full conspiracy theory,
Hey,
though.
Punter, let me
Go ahead.
ask
Go
you that
ahead.
what you're
Go ahead,
saying.
Tom.
You know, let's assume that what you're saying is true, that it was an op, that is 3-letter op, that the whole cold card fuckery was planned. To miss that seems to have malice aforethought. So let's just assume that. It might not be true. Let's assume it. If that's the case, then you got to assume that if there is an op going on like that, it's not the only op. And really, what is the goal behind the scenes? It would be to discourage cold storage ownership. And then you have to say, well, why would you,
To what end? Right.
to what end? Why would you do that? Why would you even care? If you're a 3-letter agency, is what I'm saying.
Well, I know why. I think you know why too.
Well, I'm making it's a rhetorical question. I mean, it's like if you have to think these things through. Now, people can dismiss it and say, well, this is just a comedy of errors. But I agree with you that it sounds implausible to me that a foundational core of your business has such a gaping problem.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let's play it out. Let's go full conspiracy theory here, right? Let's just all kind of agree on a couple things. The dollar system writ large has got a problem. Can we all agree on that? That the word is out that we're in trouble. That I mean, look, just look no further than Besant and $1 trillion in some mysterious account where he's going to buy long term and refinance it at lower rates, and then the whole integration of Tether as a stable coin, and Michael Saylor shifting his narrative from Bitcoin is money to Bitcoin is fucking digital collateral or whatever frick he's saying these days. Like that to me, that just seems, again, to use your word, Thomas, implausible. The system needs a new lily pad to jump to, a new energy source to back it, or at least partially back it, or to regain confidence and reset the system. And those entities, whatever they are, let's just call it the United States government, needs at some point will probably need Bitcoin to be able to be in a position to affect that change or affect that saving. And by the way, I don't. If I was somebody who was in the United States government and it was my job, I probably think I'm saving the world when I'm doing it. So I'm not attributing malintent to anybody. I'm sure some of the people who would be doing this potentially think that they're doing the right thing. So let's just get that out there. Okay. What would I also, if I mission plan this, if I strategize this, and I wanted to maybe have the United States government controlling some significant portion of Bitcoin, what would I then want to do? Well, I'd probably want to highly encourage people to not hold things in self custody. Yeah, I could maybe do a cold card attack and steal their Bitcoin, but that would be very difficult, right? Like you can track that. What I would probably want to do is incent them to not self custody. So you do something like a cold card attack, and maybe that's not the last one. You might be right, Thomas. To drive the narrative that self custody is dangerous and it's really hard and super complicated, and you won't be able to do it. And if somehow you could hold it at Coinbase or in Strategy or somewhere else where it's centralized, that's the way you want to go.
Puncher, I'm
And
not, if I'm on the 3-letter agency side and I'm planning this, and this is one of and the cold card is one, I'm not attacking the next time in the same spot. And that's where you need to really think it through if you're doing the thought exercises. if you're going through this thought exercise of saying, hey, if this was a planned action and there's more attacks coming, they're not going to come in the exact same spot. So what are the other vulnerabilities to Bitcoin being a decentralized competing monetary system? And that is where you need to think it through, because
Right. Thomas, we agree that at some point in the past 10 years, the idea was Bitcoin's a threat, let's kill it. And they couldn't. So the next best thing is, well, let's co-opt it. Let's use, by the way, we need it now. Like the jig is up. We can't kick the can any further. This is the next lily pad. Let's figure out how to get to Bitcoin as the monetary backing of our dollar system. I mean, it just makes sense to me, right?
I'll go further back. Let's say 7 years ago, the letter wasn't worth the stamp, meaning that it was if someone's sitting there saying, hey, this is a threat, they're looking at 50 things that could be threats, and that this is one of them, and it's not real. It became real over time, and there's some point at which it crosses over, and you could argue that the adoption into the TradFi system, it happened, the threat where it became worth the effort to co-opt it happened probably in late 22, 23, when it was on a path to regulatory approval into an ETF.
Yes, which they can control, right? They control the ability to approve an ETF, right? The state can control that, that eventuality. Okay, now you're allowed to have an ETF. So I think the strategy started in probably the early 2000s, right? And prior to that, they sent their errand boy Epstein around to sniff around. And I'm reminded, some people may have not have heard this story. Eric Weinstein, for those who know Eric, is a brilliant physicist. He believes that after the nuclear weapon, that physics just died and it went down the wrong path. And he and about a handful of other people were working on something at Harvard in the field of physics. I won't even attempt to explain it, that maybe 3 people know about. So he's asked by Harvard to go visit Epstein down in Florida at his compound down there. And Epstein comes out and he said, all I can think of is this guy's a construct. He had obviously been given a dossier on what I was working on with 3 other people. So 3 other people in the world. And all of a sudden, Epstein is aware of it and speaking to me about it. Meanwhile, he's bouncing a teenage girl with her boobs hanging out on his knee. Like, what do you think? And he just said, I just wanted to get out of there. Like, obviously, this guy was, when I say construct, he was an errand boy for some state agency that wanted to extract information or compromise me in some way, and I got the fuck out of there. Well, that same dude was bouncing around Bitcoin early on, trying to figure out a vulnerability somewhere in Bitcoin, in the community, what person, has control of it. And I think the end result of all of that was like, it's not really compromisable. Would you agree with that, Thomas? Are you familiar with that story?
I think that's right, and you don't have to compromise it at a technical level, though. I mean, if I'm in the 3-letter agency, the Coldcard thing seems like a great exploit to get to make people think twice about doing something that's complicated and out of the ordinary. But my next attack vector would be to go after the inconvenience of doing it at a administrative level. So if I would be shocked if in the next political regime that registration of cold storage is not required by U.S. citizens.
No, you're way ahead of me. What I'm saying is Epstein's job in life was to compromise people in positions of power or would be in positions of power or with certain knowledge, like in the case of Eric Weinstein. Like, let's just get him
100%.
let's get him videotaped and then we'll figure out what to do with him. He was running that up inside of Bitcoin.
Epstein built the compromise portfolio for whoever owned Epstein. So Epstein was the front guy to build the portfolio.
That's right.
And who the hell knows how many people are in that portfolio? But it's a lot of people. It's so many people that they won't release the names.
Oh, that's right. And we were promised it. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole other than to say the guy we know whose job it was to compromise people in physics, people in politics, people in high finance, and people in Bitcoin was sniffing around Bitcoin and may or may not have compromised a lot, some people. I'm not naming names. I'm just saying he was running in our space too, period. So then we get into like the mid teens, late teens, and Operation Choke Point 2.0, Sam Bankman-Fried. The idea there was to like cut it off and kill it. Generally speaking, like it's a threat, kill it. And they found out they couldn't really kill it, even with FTX and everything else. Bitcoin just tick-tock next block. Now, COVID happens, 2022. The system is starting to falter, and they need a safe lily pad to jump to. And hey, why don't we do Bitcoin? Give or take 2022-ish. So now it becomes not so much kill Bitcoin, but let's compromise Bitcoin. Let's co-opt Bitcoin, for lack of a better term. Okay. Now all of a sudden you see things like, and again, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but like the Taproot exploit, the increase in the op return, Michael Saylor coming out vehemently. He's never commented on anything with regard to core or anything else ever. And he's like adamantly posting about how BIP-110 is really bad, and BIP-110 fails for whatever reason, whether it was compromised or it didn't have enough consensus, whatever. It doesn't matter. Now all of a sudden, and by the way, coincident with all of that is the Coldcard case where it's driving people to go and centralize your Bitcoin in exchanges because it's just too hard to understand. And somehow somebody who's in the business of developing a self-custody forgets about entropy, which I find completely unbelievable. And a bunch of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars are lost. Scaring people, new people to Bitcoin, who've been told, by the way, by influencers who also believed and pushed this cold card that, you know, this was the place to go and it was the best way to do it. Okay. So now a bunch of people jump into exchanges. And what full conspiracy theory? Why would you want people in exchanges? Well, exchanges are easy to, I think if people went to iBit and said, we're going to give you a 25% premium, because who gives a shit? We own the printing press. We're going to take your Bitcoin and we're going to give you a fiat and a 25% kicker, people would be thrilled with that. And that is the strategic reserve. If the government wanted to do that, these companies are all public US companies, and they could do it because the government doesn't give a shit about you. If the government feels like it's threatened and needs to do something, it will do it, period. They've done it before. I'm looking at right now, under executive order of the president, April 5th, 1933. It's illegal to own gold. You must turn it in. So the idea that we wouldn't do that is kind of silly.
So Puncher, think of this. Hey, this is a threat. We're gonna make sure it never comes to fruition. We're gonna kill it, and then you have this around the time that we move into the system almost like co-opting it and controlling it and wanting to use it now is coincident. Again, since we're speculating here in conspiracy land, it's coincident with Jason Lowry's thesis, the timing of it. So they're saying, okay, let's kill it, and it's not working, but we have compromised vectors, and we can. There's a lot of things we can still do. Then someone says, wait a second, look at this guy from MIT wrote this thing, and now they got this book out called Soft War, and we don't want to kill it, we want to control it. And in order to control it, you need to own certain. You don't need to own it all, but you need to own it to a point where you can control it and direct it into an asset category where it would be used somewhere along the lines of what Lowry talked about. Do you agree with that?
So I find that a little bit implausible because I happen to have firsthand knowledge of where Jason was. Jason was out at Fred's event in the first Bitcoin Alpha. You were there. He was standing in the corner. I'm like, you're Jason Lowry. You can have my hour to speak about software. Do you remember this, Thomas?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I remember it. I
Okay.
remember it vividly.
Jason's a wonderful guy, a super smart guy. He was jammed up in his job at Space Force. He was put under investigation, and essentially his whole career was sidelined by some Obama DEI appointee at Space Force. And I reached out to my friend and I said, "Hey, this guy is what I consider to be a national asset. You should hire him." And he did. And Jason went from, a world of shit into somebody who quickly grasped Bitcoin. And I'm not, and so I find it implausible that the people I know and how this all happened, that somehow that was part of a grand conspiracy. I might be wrong, but I just find it implausible.
I mean,
How
the timing doesn't work out because that meeting that you referred to in Santa Monica was in 24.
Right. That's right. Right. So
And
Well,
we had already been, the ETF had already been operational at that point.
Well,
right. It could be another piece. Doc,
remember,
go ahead.
yeah, remember, Puncher, that when you say the grand conspiracy, um, some of us, and I know you do, as I know you do, believe that everything's a grand conspiracy, and you may have best laid plans, but God has a plan for you. So, I believe that the Jason Lowry thing is somewhat divine. I don't think it was a conspiracy by men, but a conspiracy by God. That's just what I believe. Um, but
I am happy to be used by God Almighty in any way He
there,
sees fit.
and that's my point, right? Is that we all kind of find ourselves, being used by God for different things. But to go back to, will they kill it? So kind of, I flash back to my career. I started in 1988. I got my Series 7 in a municipal bond shop. And back in the day in 1988, there were still bearer bonds, right? And these things were really desirable. Everybody wanted bearer bonds. Every call I made, do you have any bearer bonds? Do you have any bearer bonds? And when we bring in bearer bonds, the guy, the client would come into the municipal bond shop, go to the cage. There was actually like a physical cage in the broker dealer, and they would submit the bearer bonds. And man, were those things, they would just trade immediately. Somebody would buy them like next day. So, can you get rid of a bearer asset? Well, the only way they were able to get rid of bearer bonds was by issuing them illegal, right? But you can't make issuing Bitcoin illegal. And I kind of think a lot about what Simon Dixon says about this subject, right? He says, and I agree with him, that Bitcoin is their exit strategy. Bitcoin in self custody is how the uber wealthy, like that's how they exit the system. So they're not going to make something illegal. That's their exit strategy. Like you have to accept the fact that as interesting as gold is and as the relic that's been around forever, it's not an exit strategy. It's a good way to get yourself killed, right? Bitcoin is something else, and it provides for them an exit strategy to leave with the most valuable asset in the world. That's why I think Bitcoin overtakes gold in relatively short order.
Yeah, and I
And I
think that's
know
a huge advantage for the West in general. Even though I believe that we are going to shift to a multipolar world, let's just divide the world up into East and West. Just like when we chose gold as our reserve and China chose silver.
Sorry, new guy mistake there, Puncher. Keep going.
Puncher, come off mute.
Oh, if we were able to adopt Bitcoin as the reserve for the West, and I'm thinking like a statist, and China, who's obviously doing something with gold, all the gold is headed east, that we would once again reset the world, now a multipolar world where China again chooses poorly. They choose gold as the reserve, and we choose a superior form of money, Bitcoin in the West, and that would be good for the West and potentially bad for the East, especially in an age of AI. So my only point on the cold card thing is I find it almost implausible now that they're talking about, and look, a lot of Bitcoiners, to my surprise, and a lot of BIP-110 surprise, are like, I don't give a shit about Bitcoin being a monetary protocol outside of the reach of government. I care about number go up. And when we make arguments, philosophical arguments like, hey, well, Bitcoin should be the store of value and the medium of exchange over time and the unit of account, and if anything stops that and they can trap it as just the store of value and bring in stable coins through a taproot exploit, and then the dollar remains the unit of account, and I'm sorry, stable coins as the medium of exchange, then it's just like a reset of the fiat system all over again with being backed by Bitcoin. And I think that's where we're headed. And that's why you see these narratives come from Saylor. Hey, we're going to integrate this and that, and stable coins and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to be able to charge a 0.5% interest on the stable coins, and Tether's going to be the stable coin. And we're going to solve our debt problem that way and our interest problem. It's just all too convenient for me. I'm sorry. It just is. There's my full conspiracy theory. Did I get dumped?
No,
Now,
no, but look,
Puncher, I think that's why I supported the BIP-110. I don't want to rehash it here, but that's why I supported it. Was a philosophical one around kind of the broad strokes of what you outlined, in that, and you've said this before, and which is the current fiat system is incompatible with a mature, robust Bitcoin network, as a new monetary protocol. Those are not compatible today. Bitcoin is not in a position to threat the fiat system, but it is like a storm on the horizon. And so you just think through all of the things that go all the way back to who's controlling the fiat system. The fiat system allows for, it's a control mechanism for the nation state, and for the globe. Uh, and the people who run it are not, they're not going to give it up, because there's a storm on the horizon coming. They're going to prepare, they're going to do things, and they're going to do everything they can. And it's a long game. It's a long battle. It's not one thing. And it's going to be a battle over the next 5 to 10 plus years, while this shakes out. And that's what you don't want to do, is to handicap the up and coming monetary protocol, Bitcoin. You don't want to handicap it in a way that eliminates its potential. And that really is, to me, where it's at. So like right now, I think we are in a store of value phase of its life cycle, but we can never lose sight of the fact that Bitcoin cannot fulfill its potential without being a peer-to-peer monetary exchange. So while people don't really use it all that much compared to the store of value utility in 2026, we can't lose sight of the fact that that is the future. And if we don't exercise some amount and build the ecosystem around peer-to-peer exchange, that will never fulfill that potential. Now
Well,
we need a lot.
the fear is, Thomas, and I'm going to drop, but I want to come back. I got to jump off of Wi-Fi. Obviously, the fear of some really smart long-term Bitcoiners who want Bitcoin to be money outside of government, separation of money and state, and the ability to debase the sovereign individual. They when they assume that they're correct, that the miners are centralized and kind of co-opted and disregard the nodes, and that mining pools, same thing, that their ability to do that, to control, then leads to kind of a repression. Hey, maybe the miners don't recognize certain transactions. Maybe the miners disregard the nodes. The miners are going to disregard any kind of soft forks and anything that would jeopardize the integration of stable coins and the dollar dominance as the unit of account. And to them, that is the entire value of Bitcoin. So when they leave, and on principle, and a lot of newer Bitcoiners or people who don't really care about Bitcoin as a monetary protocol are dunking on them, that's why they're just so pissed. And you may think they're foolish, but they're willing to like die, you know, for what they believe in. You know, die in the sense of, you know, get rid of their Bitcoin and that, like, the dream is over. I don't necessarily believe the dream is over, but I do believe that it's under attack, and it always had to come under attack. Just think about the magnitude of what we're talking about here. The old system will not go quietly into that good night. And to my surprise, like, a lot of people don't give a shit about what I just said. They just don't care. They just care about number go up. And to a long-term Bitcoiner who believed in money outside of government, that was quite shocking to me. I wanted to have the fight about BIP-110 because I wanted to see the State of the Union. And the State of the Union, in my opinion, is not well if you're a monetary protocol kind of guy outside of government.
As a puncher, the historical allegory to independence from a system, you can go back to the Revolutionary War of the United States, where a lot of the attributes that you just articulated about the people and their attitudes towards that independence vary quite a bit. We tend to look at sort of the key founding father figures as if they were the broad majority, and they were not. There was quite a few people whose names that we don't even remember anymore, who were loyal to the crown, and so a lot of the similar issues. So they were neighbors, they were friends, they were business partners, but they divided on a line of loyalty to the crown versus independence. And the people who signed the Declaration of Independence did so at their own peril. Many of the people, like in the part of New Jersey that I'm from, a lot of the people from this area who signed it lost their wealth. Some of them lost their life and their families. It was a huge issue. And when they went against the crown, but a lot of the attributes of a revolution where you're breaking off independence and moving to uh, breaking away from a control system. You can go look at history. I just gave one with the Revolutionary War, but we are not going to have Bitcoin be that monetary protocol that you articulate without significant battles. The BIP-110 was a small battle. The bigger battles are going to come as Bitcoin rises in its relative size in the global ecosystem. And I think the battles are going to be much bigger. Everything from political registration and things like that, which are non-technical, to things like quantum proof adoption of some of the way that Bitcoin is secured. All those, everything, the whole spectrum and everything in between, I think is going to be ahead of us. And we'll have to see. Look, just like if you were handicapped in the Revolutionary War back in the day, prior to it happening, it would have been a long shot that the outcome, you would have never bet on that outcome, and then yet it happened. And so I think we're in a similar situation here. I think it's all possible. I want to pull for it, but I think it's a long shot right now.
Well, and all analogies break down, right? But I think it's a valid analogy. A lot of people will roll their eyes at it and be, oh, you're comparing it to the revolution. But you got to think like guys like Mechanic and Luke and others, you know, these guys are long-term Bitcoiners who truly believe in Bitcoin as a monetary protocol outside of government control. And they lost to arguments like, well, BIP-110 doesn't stop all spam, so therefore it's invalid. It's like, well, wait a second. I got a fucking fence around my house to keep out the javelinas. It doesn't keep out the ants, but it's still worth having a fence. And then maybe if the ants become a problem, I'll get a more robust and finer fence. But this is a start. And other like kind of nonsensical arguments, and everybody seemed to just kind of not even be thoughtful about it. Things like, well, one man's spam is another man's friggin' art. It's like, dude, I don't care if it's the Mona Lisa. Like, this is a monetary protocol. So what is spam? anything that's not a monetary transaction, period. And people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. You're censoring me. And those kind of almost ridiculous arguments seem to win the day. And it was very deflating for people who, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, it was table stakes about what Bitcoin was and the promise of Bitcoin. And then with the new Bitcoiners coming in, and I understand why they feel this way, like the old arguments and the old assumptions and the table stakes about what Bitcoin was seem to just evaporate on crazy nonsensical arguments. Again, did I just take a turd in the punch bowl or what?
No.
Go ahead,
And,
Sean.
and by the way, like people, I'll drop and I'll come back. But like, and then people are like, oh, punchers crashing out. And these late night, with the younger guys, all MFing their moms and stealing each other's monikers. And it's like, oh, punchers crashing out. You lost, you lost. And even on Bitcoin today, you lost. Fuck those guys. They're retards. I'm like, you know, to some of us, those guys are like patriots who really are fighting for something they believe in and are willing to die for, at least monetarily. And to like just dismiss them as like Luke, you may not like the guy and you may think he's a little bit weird, but the dude has done a lot for Bitcoin. He's not just some random punk. And if you've been here for a cup of coffee, you may not know that. And I just think, I don't know. And Matthew Crowder and the rest of them, like it's like, oh, these guys are fucking idiots. Good riddance, fork off. It's like, man, oh man, this is not the Bitcoin that I was involved in the mid-teens. Like the ethos is so much different and so much worse. But I'm not. Look, I'm not crashing out. I'm happy numbers going up. But like it was more than just number go up. Like I happened to be lucky late in life and sold a company and did rather well. And I'm not here for number go up. Like I'm here for other things. I'm here for other people. I'm here for a bigger fight. And it just seems like not many other people are. Not whatever. It's okay. I'm happy to get rich owning a shitload of Bitcoin. I mean, great. I'll be fine. It's not me I'm worried about.
Yeah, you probably saw Jeff Booth sort of advising people to not follow BIP-110 off a cliff, right? And saying how these people will be desperately needed in future times. And yeah, I don't know, some of that extent. Jeff Booth, as you probably know, Puncher originally also defended BIP-110, but then he and so did Simon Dixon, right? If I remember correctly. But then they just, yeah, I don't know. I suppose they gave up on it, and
Look,
they are of the opinion that it's not a complete ruining.
I'm friends with Jeff. Like I can call Jeff right now. He'll pick. Like I love Jeff. He's just a wonderful, super smart guy. Way smarter than me. And Jeff, when I was struggling with this, before I even took a position on it, after listening for 8 months and like going with my gut and how I really felt, he's like, Kevin, I don't want anybody else to make a decision based on Jeff Booth said it. He wanted everybody to do their own work, figure it out for themselves, and take a position, not just because Jeff Booth said X, Y, or Z. Unlike Saylor, who came out and was like AIing 100 reasons why BIP-110's for retards and all that other stuff. And he disagrees with Michael Saylor like vehemently. And I arranged a call and I invited a bunch of BIP-110ers who were kind of like exiting the building, and I invited them all. Thomas, you were invited, not that you were exiting the building. Like, let's get on a call and hear what Jeff has to say. And a lot of the guys, unfortunately, were not interested. They're like, no, we disagree, and we're just not interested to hear what Jeff has to say. And then that was unfortunate. And I don't agree 100% with Jeff, but look, I am not as optimistic as I once was. I would categorize myself at this moment in time as a number go up kind of guy. I'm the American British hodl. Fucking number go up, man. What's in it for me? Like, fine, whatever. But again, the idea in my mind that Bitcoin is money outside the system, I think that that while that idea may not be dead, it is wounded for sure.
Yeah, that was a good call that you had set up for all of us. I was there too, and I was disappointed, just as you were, that a lot of people didn't want to jump in there. I particularly disagree with Jeff Booth on his position, so I really wanted to hear a counter argument to what I had felt, because that's how I feel I can actually own my own opinions, is if I can challenge myself, and having somebody else do it was kind of instrumental. But so many people just didn't even want that conversation, which is one of the unfortunate kind of things we're seeing a lot in the space. People just don't want to actually take it face on.
Sean, I was a similar position. I had a family commitment and could not make that call with Jeff. But again, and my view is probably somewhat in that group of people who were involved with that, probably in a minority view, in the sense that I think there are many battles to be had. And again, I use probably a very bad metaphor. It's a football season, and that was the first game. I mean, so once it was clear you're going to lose, you have to accept the loss, learn from the loss, and move on, and understand that tougher games are coming. And so, I don't think that was the cause celeb. I don't think it was the battle royale. I don't think all those things. I just don't think it'd have been nice to have the community acknowledge some of the points, notwithstanding some of the technical problems. But I just think it's to me, and this I'm probably persona non grata in some of the groups, but I think it's time to move on and stop talking about it. I only talk about it now in the context of understanding what happened, not to relitigate it, and say, hey, it happened, it's over, and to relitigate it is I think a very poor decision, when we should be trying to unify over themes that we don't disagree on, which are, we want to maintain a decentralized asset. We want to have something that has the potential to be independent from a corrupt fiat system. If we can agree on some foundational principles like that, then we can rebuild for what I think are going to be, again, as I said, much tougher battles coming down the pike.
But Thomas, I'll just give, not that I share this opinion, but I think I can articulate the position of some of the guys like Matt Crowder, Mechanic, Luke, and others, Justin, and some others. They're like, if nobody seemed willing to fight for this minor thing, which was literally just a return to the way Bitcoin was a few years ago, in things like the op return, taproot exploit, that that really have no other benefit other than spam and a workaround to get spam and some other things. If they're not willing to fight for that, and they're willing to fall for things like, well, it doesn't stop all spam, so don't do it. It doesn't even fix the problem. Then what's the next fight that's going to be magnitudes more different going to look like if we can't even agree on this little fight? And that's why they're discouraged. And that's why they're like, fuck, I'm out of here. And it's like, okay, well, I think we're going to need these guys to have any chance to fight that bigger fight. And it just seemed like nobody really wanted to fight. And most people told me to my face, I don't care. I don't care about your Bitcoin and your whole thing about a monetary protocol. And I'm like, fuck, man, that's kind of what that's what it was
That
forever and a day. And now it's
that
like, oh,
that
nobody gets.
is, but that's the issue. I mean, the issue wasn't BIP-110. It was the fact that a community that we may have assumed was unified on a couple of themes was not. And all the and again, forget whether Bitcoin stopped everything and did everything. BIP-110 did everything. All the I heard every argument about why it was not a good thing. Let's assume all of that's true. It doesn't really matter. The issue was, it revealed where we don't have an agreement, and what should have, to me, what we should be doing is stepping back to a more foundational principles, less about the arcane details of a BIP, and talk about more foundational principles about where we want Bitcoin. Because I do think we are in a phase where Bitcoin in its life cycle is dominant with number go up through its store of value attribute. That is the dominant. If you ask 100 people who are involved with Bitcoin, a large significant supermajority are going to say that's what's important to me. And so the real hard work of unifying a community around decentralization and pursuing the monetary protocol attributes requires changing or embellishing that attitude towards Bitcoin. Then you can have the conversations about the BIPs. But if you don't have a foundational alignment,
Yeah,
there's
but
no way you're gonna resolve it.
okay. A couple things. One of the real difficulties is that we're dealing with counterfactuals after the fact, after August 8th. There's one side that says the miners and the mining pools are centralized and compromised, and there was a phone calls made that you will not recognize BIP-110, period. That's one side. The other side is you guys lost, you didn't develop consensus. And then the other side, the BIP-110ers come back and say, there was no URSF, right? They didn't even bother to do a URSF because of 80% of the miners or of the nodes didn't give a shit, and 20% stood for BIP-110. Therefore, BIP-110 in the past would have adopted, but this time it didn't. And it wasn't about consensus. It was about something being centralized and controlled. And again, it's a counterfactual. So nobody knows, but the side that quote unquote won is like, you fucking lost. You didn't make the argument. You're fucking done and go fork off. And so there's that. And then the other thing is, Thomas, like, look, I almost wish that the fight was bigger. I almost wish that BIP-110 was more exigent, but it was kind of nuanced, and most people didn't even know how the system worked, and most new people surely don't know how the system is mechanized, and they just didn't give a fuck. So again, it's very discouraging for the BIP-110ers because they were like, guys, it's almost like William Moss going, let's go, and he looks back and no one's following him. They're like, what the fuck? They're fighting it as if it was 6 years ago and everybody agreed. And obviously everybody doesn't agree. And where is the value in Bitcoin if it's not a monetary protocol? If they can trap it as a store of value and then roll in stable coins and denominate everything in dollars, why does Bitcoin have any value at all? That's my question.
It's a digital gold vector. It's
And gold is what got us to our current predicament. So we're just kicking the can one more time. We're not separating money and
yeah,
state.
I
We're just
agree.
changing the.
I agree. Long term. I mean, if you were to change the battle instead of this BIP-110 issue and say that are we going to unify as a community against shelf or registering your cold storage? Now, if the regulation says if you have an ETF or your money or your coins are on a regulated exchange, you don't have to register because we already know that through KYC. And we can be assured as a government that those are legit. But all the cold storage stuff, we're not so sure about that. You got to register if you're a U.S. citizen. Now, that protocol comes in, or that regulatory regime comes in the next political regime, and we say, are we going to unify as a community against that? I'm not so sure. I'm
But
not.
what tools do you have to fight that fight? If the miners and the mining pool operators can disregard the nodes, which was the decentralizing force of Bitcoin, and just ignore them, who gives a fuck what you think? Who cares if you all unify? It doesn't matter anymore. That's the point.
Yeah, that's a fair point. But I was really thinking, I'm not so sure at a foundational level what we would call the Bitcoin community is unified on very much. Like, because I don't think you would get full support to
Well, to
stop.
go back to your analogy about the revolution, united we stand, divided we fall. And we're divided. You go on a space today, people are like, you fucking all your monetary bullshit, you Bitcoin purists, you telling me what spam is. And it's like, this is not the same place that I signed up for, period. Look, whatever. You're going to get rich, but I'm not going to sit on Spaces for 3 hours a day telling everybody this is FU money. This is your escape from the system. This is the only manhole out of the system. Separate state. All those tropes that people still say to this day, I don't believe it anymore. Now, I could have my mind changed if we do have a big fight and somehow we all come together and we do take a stand and the miners and the mining pools have to listen to the nodes. But the history of BIP-110 tells me that no longer works. And we don't have any weapons to fight back currently. Again, that's a counterfactual.
Hey, Puncher.
Yes, sir.
I hear your passion, and hey, I think you have every right to feel the way you do, right? Because this is not just about fiat gains, right? It's a revolution as well. And I think a lot of people who came to Bitcoin have this mindset. And at some point, though, they may deviate due to whatever reason. I mean, and I'm not saying one way is right or the other, but you know how you mentioned about, hey, united we succeed and divided, united we conquer and divided we fall. I think that the vision is not necessarily a we fall type of thing. It's more the decentralization aspect that has to happen when you have a protocol that is decentralized, so that there's checks and balances. I'm not saying one way or the other is right. Like if you look at my pin tweet, I came here not for the money. Initially was really for the tech because I was fascinated by how the blockchain worked and everything. But more importantly, I wanted people to be like I wanted a fair system, right? You read about Jekyll Island, you read how money is created, you read the tax law in 1913, all of these things, the gold confiscation, et cetera, et cetera. And because of that, that's actually what made me stay. Is because like even though I got Bitcoin back in 2018, 2017, and we ran up, and people are asking me, "Oh my gosh, you were talking to me about it $4,000, man. Did you sell?" Right? It was at 69K. He's like, "Did you sell?" And I was like, no. And they're like looking at me all weird, like, why? Like, that's weird. Why wouldn't you sell any? And I looked at them and I say, look, it's more than fiat gains to me, okay? It is a revolution. And so I see your passion and that same feeling. And I think a lot of people are still there as well. Why people, like, I never even had a dog in a fight with the BIP-110, the other stuff, right? I just feel like from a sort of like direction that it's going to go, whichever direction it goes, you know, hopefully it's gonna be kept the way it was meant to be kept with all those important aspects that got people originally into it, right? The cypherpunks. If it starts to deviate too much, like maybe we are seeing little tricklings of this, like, oh, like don't cold storage and just put it on exchange and you have the ETFs and then if that starts to move in that direction more and more, you will see, right? Like the centralization, like Michael Saylor with all of those coins, and I mean, that's gonna actually it's like gonna shoot themselves in the foot because if everything's gonna be centralized in those entities, that actually destroys the whole concept of what this was meant to be, and so people will again fight against the people, the institutions again, and say, hey, we want this to be free. But I don't think we're there just yet. I think right now everybody's trying to figure out, okay, let's get more adoption, let's get more money in the system, but not necessarily, hey, we're gonna give up our sovereignty, right? And then one last thing I just want to say is it's just not the US, all right? We have to remember, even though we're in the US and the majority of the Bitcoin activity, et cetera, is happening here, or the capital is here, there are people, countless people all across the world, different countries using it for their own purposes, their own ecosystem, their own little village, et cetera, et cetera. And I hope that continues. And so I just want to say that because I do want to like appreciate your passion and that hey, you're standing up for what you believe, right? And in the same way I do too. So that's all I want to say.
No, Tal, listen, I appreciate you, bud. I'm making a technical argument. If you agree, and again, this is a counterfactual, if you agree that the miners and the mining pools are compromised, right? They're not gonna recognize the will of the nodes. Just take that as a just take that at face value. No matter what happens in the future, that you don't like, that we may be able to generate some consensus around, like, hey, they're going to increase the cap to, put an inflation into Bitcoin or increase to 21 million or whatever it ends up being. The weapon you had was running a node and signaling for something. And if that gets ignored, I don't care how passionate or how angry anybody gets. Once it's captured, it's captured. Nobody has to care about what everybody else thinks when it's centralized. And that's the point. Now, if you don't believe that, and again, it's a counterfactual, that's fine. What Jeff Booth said, and Sean, you back me up on this. Jeff basically said, look, the miners are probably captured right now. Core's probably captured right now. And that's a problem, and the pools. However, mining is such a shitty business. They're actually operating in the next system. They're operating in a deflationary system. It's such a shitty business, and they have the option to go and make money with AI, that their stranglehold currently now is going to dissipate because they're going to have to fracture up and kind of decentralize again. It's not sustainable. The current business model is so bad and so deflationary that the decentralization, if you believe that now, will start to dissipate, and then that capture is going to go away over time. Isn't that kind of what you got, Sean?
Yeah, that's exactly how he described it. And I still disagree with him on that point. I don't fully see it the way he does. We didn't get a chance to really get into that disagreement too much, but that's definitely his outlook. And it's to the fact that he says over time, it'll have to get decentralized. And that's kind of his takeaway from it.
And he also said that Core is now under a microscope, and even if there might have been some fuckery before, that they're not going to do it because, like, we're going to bring transparency to who can contribute to Core and whatever. And they're kind of like hopeful things, but like you, I'm like, I don't know. So my position is, look, the number's still going to go up. Just imagine the entire fiat system pumping in, which is happening right in front of us, pumping into Bitcoin as the store of value. You're going to get rich if you own Bitcoin. You should own Bitcoin. I'm not selling my Bitcoin. I'm going to mine some of the new stuff just because, out of support. And I probably buy more Bitcoin because I do think we're all going to get wildly wealthy. The problem is, it's going to exacerbate the problem with the disparity between the haves and the have-nots. It's not going to fix society. That wealth gap's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's not the basis for a stable society, which was the hope of money outside of government. I'll stop there. So, Sean, somebody's got their hand up. Dr. Pulpo.
Yeah, go ahead and talk, Dr. Popo.
Hey, everybody.
You got the floor.
Thanks for having me. Just real quick question. Recently, it looked like, I think it was earlier today, Trump said he was going to sign the PPN, and I was wondering what you guys thought the PPN would have to do with the value of Bitcoin, whether it's going to make it, how you think it's going to, if it's going to fluctuate a lot or what's going to happen.
I don't even know what that is. Anybody know what the PPN is? Can you be more specific, Doc?
Oh, it's PP in your butt and mouth, you fucking faggot.
You got me. By the way, if he thought I'd be offended by that, it's pretty fucking funny.
That was actually pretty fucking cool because I'm like, that might be something Thomas knows more about because I don't follow it every day. And then it's like I would have set him up for that. So,
by the way, Thomas, you're taking it
But-
bad from Dave, BIP-110 Dave. He's like all over you, buddy, in that thread.
Oh yeah. Look, I have a thick skin, and I understand where Dave's coming from. I just don't agree. I'll just say this, and you and I have had this conversation. Whether the whole BIP-110 thing should have won or didn't should have won or not, that's not the issue. The fact of the matter is, it lost. And if you're gonna fight and you're gonna have a battle, you ought to win. And the organization around the BIP-110 failed to understand the opposition and failed to win.
Can I stop you right there for just a second? That's my analogy is they played by the old rules and they were unaware. They had the suspicion that the game was rigged. And their assertion is, we were playing game A and actually game B was the new rules. And the new rules were no matter what we did, the miners and the mining pools were not going to signal and accept BIP-110. That's a little different than you played in a fair game and you lost. Again,
Yeah,
that's
so
an
so
assertion.
and that's and so my issue with that and what is that to me you accept the loss, BIP-110 lost, accept it, learn from it, and step back and say what are the principles that we can learn from that. As an example, you just mentioned if the miners are centralized and controlled through capital markets and their financing for the most part. They don't have the degrees of freedom because it's a shitty business and a business on the edge, with corporate contracts, the whole nine yards. So they don't have. So now you know. But at some level, I could argue maybe you should have known before you took the fight, and you should have estimated where this is going. Core dev, you can say now they're under a microscope and all of that, and that they had some levels of corporate influence from their funders. All of those things are true, but those are long game issues, and simply arguing against it isn't going to change it from being true. And to me, again, the passion of the people who were fighting it, all that. I don't want to disparage them at all. I would just say this: they lost the argument, and it's time to move on and learn from it. And I don't want to see people pick up and leave. I would just say, hey, look, what do you learn from this, and what's coming next, and how can you do a better job articulating and arguing what I think are the more core foundational principles, which is maintaining Bitcoin as a decentralized asset. And again, I do think there's a lot more work that needs to happen for a lot of the new people who've come into Bitcoin who do not, and they said it to you because you were out there more in front puncher on this. They don't give a shit about the monetary protocol thing. They don't see Bitcoin as a potential replacement to fiat. They don't see it, and they think you're crazy for even talking about it, right? And that debate is the debate we should be having, not because if you can't align on that, then you're going to have very different views of where the direction should go for the asset class. Right? If you
I'll
just
give you their response.
yeah,
First of all, the argument didn't matter. The game was rigged. The argument was meaningless at the end of the day. And you're still fighting on the other team's home turf in as much as they've got a printing press and we don't. By the way, Bitcoin just broke 80,000. It's 80,800.
Let's go,
Um,
boys.
there you go. For all us British hodl types like me, fucking A. All right. So um, so they're like, we're not going to continue to play in a rigged game. We're going to go start our own league. And you at least have to respect it. Look, it's a long shot. They're going to change some things that they think needed to be changed from the beginning. In spirit, I'm with them. I'll even probably, mine some coins. Like I said, a big long shot. But that's standing on principle, and that used to like mean something in the world, and to less and less of an extent. But they don't want to play in a rigged game anymore, and that's their honest opinion.
Well, on the bright side, you can still self custody your Bitcoin, right? There is only 21 million. It's still permissionless, transacted all around the world, and yeah, other good qualities, right?
you
That
just
But
you
but
just
if
you
but if
just
but
said
if the
two
miners
things
are,
that may
if
not be true.
that's right, if the miners are compromised, again, a counterfactual and the mining pools, then none of that matters. If the miners don't want to recognize your transaction, or there's legislation passed that now is implemented, what you can and can't do, you self custody doesn't really matter that much, and that's the fear that that it's compromised or will be compromised to such an extent that the things that make Bitcoin valuable that you just articulated can easily go away when it's centralized and not secure and controlled.
Yeah, but if it were to go away, it would be very public, right? After all, the blockchain is, yeah, as you know, it's public. Everything is completely audited every 10 minutes. And as you also articulated, right, the BIP-110 issue was very, very nuanced. And to this day, I'm still unsure of. I mean, I didn't have any strong opinions around that, even though I tried to learn about it. But so yeah, so it was very nuanced, and I don't know. The hopeful side is that yeah, it just didn't reach consensus, and yeah, we live to
Well,
fight another day.
they don't believe that it didn't reach consensus, and I tend to agree with them. Like there wasn't a user
Yeah,
URSS.
I'm aware there are
Now, why
these
wouldn't they do that?
terms around these software forks and this consensus stuff. Like, I mean, but one other thing is that the miners didn't signal consensus, right? And mining is a fair game. Anyone can mine, and it then ends up to be somewhat centralized, arguably somewhat centralized, but it's still a fair game. Anyone can mine, and so you are saying that someone has like the authority to, like, which would be Luke Dasher. Oh, I am the authority. I deem the opinions of the miners invalid and whatever. But the miners are the miners, and anyone is free to compete in that arena. And
Yeah,
they had
they
their
are, but
opinion, which was to reject.
you're a pimple on the ass of what really matters as an independent miner. It's the hash is coming from highly centralized public miners. That's the mining that counts. And look, BIP-110 at a very high level was people believed there were attack vectors created, and they just wanted to close the attack vectors. And the community said, "We don't care that you want to close the attack vectors." And now they believe that those attack vectors are open and actively being exploited to bring in things like stable coins and all kinds of other stuff. Do I think spam is going to be the issue? I don't. I think that the workaround with Taproot and the attack vector through Taproot is there's a reason Michael Saylor was very vocal about, being against BIP-110, and because if BIP-110 activated, all his hopes and dreams about what this protocol was going to become would have gone into dust. And now they're not. And he's going to do what he's going to do.
Yeah, I don't know about that, right? He's in the business of just buying and backing credit with Bitcoin, right? He doesn't really have any. I mean, he just showed his opinion that might or not be right, but yeah, I don't think any.
He never expressed an opinion on anything like that before. And he came into this world late in 2020 talking about Bitcoin as money, and now it's Bitcoin as digital credit and some other shit. So his narrative has changed, as have his
Yeah,
actions.
he shared opinions about ossification or being very conservative with any changes, and I don't know. I just think that if you were to take him in a, like, if you were to think that take what he says on a more optimistic side, is just that yeah, the guy just thought that the change is not worth fighting for. I don't know.
He certainly fought. He certainly fought like he's never fought before.
He just shared an article that he opposed.
Puncher, the one thing I would say that concerns me long term is as Bitcoin gets bigger and bigger, it does become it will tend to be more centralized through ownership, and the self custody issue, and I would say at some level running the nodes are checks on the system, and so when those checks are undermined, like if everybody had their Bitcoin on exchanges or with an ETF, and it was holding it either through an MSTR proxy or BlackRock, etc., the 21 million kind of goes away with a lobbying effort of someone saying, we should be able to sell you basically go to fractional reserve accounting on the centralized asset. That's almost a certainty to happen in a centralized world. Now, the risk of that, the check and the balance on that is having a robust decentralized ownership structure to keep a BlackRock or a MSTR from mispricing their centralized asset relative to the on-chain asset that is decentralized. But if everything's centralized, shit, they can sell because they can sell proxy and manipulate the price just like they did with gold, because with gold you can't really take delivery at scale. I mean, and you can really only own gold at scale with consent of the nation state. You try to get a pallet of gold if you could afford it. Even if you could afford it, you can't get it.
That
And
was the fatal flaw of gold that allowed it to be centralized, which gave us the fiat, which put us in the mess we're in now.
yeah,
And the hope that was Bitcoin was that, you couldn't centralize the Bitcoin, and you couldn't, the system was mechanized in a way that what happened to gold couldn't happen. And it turns out it can happen, or at least the attack vectors are there. Some assert that it's already happened, and some assert that it hasn't. I'm in the wilderness. It's not about me, by the way. I mean, it doesn't matter what I think, but I'm in the wilderness. I don't believe what I used to believe, and that's just where I am. And I could change my mind, but I need to see signs of life in Bitcoin that it actually wants to be what it was originally created to be. And if it's not, we'll all get fabulously rich. It's 80,100 on its way to 1,000,000, and we'll be at the top of the K curve. But no one can explain to me what backed by Bitcoin means. Saylor throws that around a lot. I'm like, well, what does that mean? Backed by Bitcoin? That's kind of nebulous. What's backed by Bitcoin? And
Look,
no one can give me a
you have
straight answer.
Bitcoin. You have Bitcoin, which is the digital capital, right? Then you create digital credit, and you sell it to the people that don't really understand what Bitcoin is. That's it.
It's that
You know?
people are stupid. Basically, people are stupid, and it's
Yeah,
not really
yeah.
backed by anything. All right, well,
No, no. What do you mean
fine.
it's not
That's
backed
that's
by
the
anything?
that's the fiat system, is what that is.
No, they
if
don't
I
have
if
the
I can
Bitcoin.
sell digital credit against digital capital, uh, I just embraced fractional reserve accounting, because that's really what's going to happen.
Well, too bad for the people
You
buying
got it.
the digital credits, but that's what they want. They want those yummy monthly dividends, right? Or 12% a year. It's a good yield, you know.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
you're arguing a utility, and a utility that is derived through the undermining of the asset that we're talking about. One of the core attributes is the 21 million, the fact that it's a completely inelastic supply, and that demand fluctuates, and you get the volatility on the asset, on the price, because the supply is inelastic. As soon as you move to digital credit structures, those digital credit structures are backed by a separate unit of account, either stable coins or fiat, and you're into fractional reserve accounting. And so I need to have 1,000,000 Bitcoin, and I can write digital credit instruments for 3, 5, 10 million worth of that Bitcoin. And therein undermines the 21 million right there.
Wait,
I mean,
are you
Punch, if
talking
you,
about the derivatives, derivatives on IBIT and MSTR? Because on
I'm,
the
I'm,
Sailor
I'm,
side, right? He has like 15 billion of STRC outstanding, right, and 60 billion of Bitcoin or whatever it is on the current price, right? It's over collateralized, right?
well, I mean, STRC is a fiat instrument, so I mean, if you're talking purely about Bitcoin digital credit, what I'm saying is you are right away getting into fractional reserve accounting at the Bitcoin level, not in the fiat terms. But look, these tensions are bound to happen. I think the more TradFi gets into this, they're going to basically they're let's just say it this way: the TradFi folks are not interested in this monetary protocol argument that we've been, or discussion we've been having. They want number to go up. They see digital gold. They see it as a great asset and a great way to make money. And that's where they're going to drive their behavior and their initiatives.
Yeah. Hey, Thomas, can I say something about that? You mentioned fractionalized. I believe that if you're not holding cold storage Bitcoin, everything else can be potentially fractionalized. Now, maybe we say IBIT is regulated, right? There's laws, there's BlackRock, there's checks and balances, there's audits, et cetera, et cetera. But do we, I know British is laughing, but the thing is, do we really know, right? Like, no one's
Hey, where do you
auditing,
hold your Bitcoin, Tal?
huh?
He sold it at the
I,
Where do you
bottom.
hold your
I
Bitcoin?
hold in multiple places. I have
Tal
cold
sold it at
storage,
the
I have
bottom.
IBIT. No,
No,
I'm
no.
just saying,
It's
if
cold
you,
storage now. Last week it was
no,
all IBIT.
no, I have it in multiple places. I have not only just cold storage, but IBIT, but also on exchanges because of the
Okay, okay,
everything.
all right.
Yeah, so I kind of
Yeah.
split it up just to just to mix it up a little bit. But what I'm getting at is, if you don't have the cold storage, right, anything could be a potential. Like even like the exchange I use right now, right? They may believe that nobody's gonna do a bank run, right, or access their Bitcoin one time, and so if they would like to, they can do something like that. I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying even the big institutions like BlackRock and Fidelity that they would even dare to do something like that. But I'm just saying, hey, sort of like, hey, it can potentially happen, and that's the way I just see it. That's all.
Yeah, no,
Fung
that's
Lee
true.
told you they said we're the central bank of Bitcoin. Like that's not. I'm
Who
not
said
not
that?
that. Fung Lee. What's the guy's name? The CEO of Strategy.
No,
I
but here's the
mean, it's
thing. There's
kind
going
of
to be in-kind redemption, right? There's going to be in-kind redemption for IBIT. So I think that kind of,
it's not going to be. There is
right? Yeah. And so therefore,
done and
it's going
What?
to be very
delivered.
tricky for them
So
to do
what?
something, right? It's going to be very, tricky if they're going to still do something crazy there. Yeah.
That's more
BlackRock
of a
wants to
That's
make
more of a
fees.
centralizing. It's more of a centralizing thing. It was a whatever it was. It was you got to have 1 million, then you got to have a
BlackRock,
50,000.
you got no. There's a minimum. There's a
Get
minimum
all the
share
minnows
count.
in the pool.
There's a minimum share count. Anyway, listen, look, we're in bullish territory, boys. We're at 81K. Like, and you guys are
Time to
Yeah,
being
go
some
up,
yeah.
baby.
doom and
Time to
That's
gloom
go
why the
up.
boomer
title
shit.
changed. That's why
I
it's
don't
time to change that
understand.
title.
Like let go of the doom and gloom boomerang just for one day. You know, just one day. Just
I'm
stop
gonna go.
stamping in the puddles.
Would you? Well,
Just
first
stop.
of all,
Take the
Larry
wellies
Fink is
off.
here. Larry Fink
Take
is
the
here. Larry,
wellies off and stop stamping in the puddles for one day,
But
friends.
British,
I'm,
but British. Why is it 81K good if the miners are centralized? We are all ruined.
Just sell it
no, you
then.
can't
Either
say
sell it
that.
or
That's not
celebrate.
happening.
Either sell or give me a hug. It's either give me a hug or you sell. One or the other. That's
I'm
it.
giving you a hug, British. I'm giving you a hug.
Let's go
Because we
because you're
celebrate.
IBIT. Your
look,
team
We
the
IBIT.
celebrate.
Hunter
Bitcoin.
is
Yes.
in the big Bitcoin tent as well yesterday. He
Now,
said
now,
it. You know, you said you're in the tent.
listen. You don't care about what I care about, and it's fine.
Yeah, but it's okay. Number going up is going to
I
heal
was already
everything.
rich,
Okay.
British. I don't give a fuck. I'm already. I'm
Yeah,
not Grant Cardone rich, but I'm fucking rich.
everyone. Nobody gives a fuck about Bitcoin number go up. Yeah, I
My
understand.
life.
Yeah,
I got a
okay,
remote
fine.
control.
Nobody
I got a bunch
cares.
of TVs, nice beds, and I can do whatever I want. My life
And
isn't much different than
nobody
Grant
cares.
Cardone's. I mean, yeah, people do
Nobody
care. People
cares.
actually care. Some guy
Hey,
living in
Dark
the
Dark
woods
is
We're
doesn't
all
in that
have to
here.
tent
make a
Nobody
too.
cares
decision.
about number go up, guys. It's all
Dark
right.
is in the
Nobody
tent
cares.
too, I believe, right? Dark is in the tent, right? He's in the big Bitcoin tent.
Dark already stepped in. Dark realized,
No, he
he's
didn't.
gonna get. Dark
Dark's talking about
realized.
macro and why the number is
Dark
going to go up.
said. Dark said BDB is gonna lay the liquidity pipe through him, and he didn't want that. He was like, "I'm on the team now," and that's what it is.
Dark's been calling what happened last Friday for 2 years. It's not
Dark
like he's changed.
side
He's
is
like,
on
it
the
just
team.
happened.
He said he's in the tent yesterday, Puncher.
British.
You
I
maybe
talk to
you didn't
Dark
hear it.
Side 50
I don't
times a
care what you
day.
said.
I
I'm
know
telling
what
you
he
what he's.
thinks.
I
I
can
know
tell
what the
you
guy
speak to
thinks. He's my
Dark 50
business
times a
partner, for
day.
God's sakes.
I know. It sounds like you guys talk too often. Anyway, look, we're at 81K, guys. We're above key indicators here. We're in bullish territory. You guys are just sitting here just doing. No matter how good anything gets, all you want to do is complain about how the world's gonna end soon. Just relax.
Whoa. So British, that's technically not true. Fred, who disappeared about 20 minutes ago, literally pushed us to 81,000.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure he did.
we're
I'm
at
sure it was all
81K.
Fred. Yeah, okay.
British. How many coffees have you bought in with Bitcoin in your life?
Fucking zero. You guys buying fucking coffees with Bitcoin, listening to fucking idiots?
I
What are you talking about?
not only did I buy coffee, but I bought a bagel with the coffee.
Hell yeah. Did you listen, Tao, you're smart, right? You spend and replace.
British,
Yeah,
I got a
no,
quick question for you.
I've onboarded merchants actually. I told them, hey, like this is
Hell
the way you
yeah.
do it.
Don't
Yeah.
worry
Yeah,
Added
about that.
zero value to Bitcoin.
AI is going to
Fantastic.
take care of onboarding. And hey, British,
Absolutely.
I got a question. Can you incline bench press 225, not on a Smith machine, but no shit, just with a bar on a bench?
Oh no, what is that in kilos? Hold on, let me have a look.
It's 245s on
220.
each side.
102.
That's
I'm
pretty
probably
heavy.
at 92 kilos, which is like 10 kilos shy of that.
It's pretty good, dude. How old are you?
I don't talk about any of that. You can text me, no
You're
problem.
younger than me. Okay. That's good.
Definitely.
That's impressive.
Hey, I'm definitely younger than you, for sure.
I'm only
He's
58. I'm not
he's
90.
definitely not a
Fucking
boomer, is what
definitely
British is
younger than
saying.
you.
He's saying he's not a boomer. British
I'm
says he's not a
saying
boomer.
mentally, I'm younger than you. We're
I'm
thriving. We
Gen X,
believe in
the only
thriving.
generation that gets shit done and doesn't complain about it.
Yeah. Anyway, we're about to break 81. We're about to fly, boys. We're about to fly off the fucking cliff here. The
Let's go
liquidity pipes have been
90K
laid.
tomorrow. Let's go 90K tomorrow, man. I'm tired of waiting. Let's do it.
It's happening, Tao. You just
Let's
got to
do it.
let it happen. BDB
Yes.
is going to take care of you, as I've been
It's
saying.
it's gonna be freaking awesome, man. Like yeah,
Yeah, like
I'm looking at a good
all of these
Christmas gift.
Bitcoiners think that Bitcoin wasn't a liquidity sensitive asset. Like that's what's crazy about this whole thing. Like,
Nobody thought that. Come on, stop.
yeah,
Like
that's exactly what you guys think. It's
Who,
okay. It's all
me?
right.
like
I
Here's the
thought
all I
that?
want for
liquidity,
guys,
and here's your sensitivity.
all I want for Christmas is all-time highs. Okay,
Just that?
is
I
that
don't
okay?
want just all-time highs. You
Just
want
for
only
Christmas though.
all-time
Come
highs?
on, I'm not gonna get greedy. I just say I just want
No,
a
we're
Christmas
about to
present.
we are launching the confidence cycle. We are launching a liquidity cycle. The AI trade is pivoting. Like I said in June, that would happen. It's all lining up. But go watch my shit from June.
We just turned into a Tim B. Mars Spitz bar space over instantly.
No, because we need to stop doom and gloom booming when we're literally booming. Like what are we
What's
like?
doom and gloom? The doom and gloom is the macro outlook
Everything
that
that
they are
comes out of your
printing
mouth
money out of
recently.
thin air. Grish, we've been talking about what just happened for 2 years. Hey, they're gonna have to print. Larry Lepard, the big print, another
Yeah,
boomer
but now
doomer.
it's here. Can we
They
just
predicted.
celebrate? Puncher, hey, Puncher, show me how
It's
happy you are.
it's good and bad. It's good for
Okay, well,
us
show
in
me the
this
good
room.
side. Why you always focus on the bad side?
Because I care about other people. I care
Oh
about
my god.
like I do care about other people. I
Well,
do.
me too. Me too. I get cursed
I
out for
can
caring about
tell.
other people. I get cursed out. I'm like, listen, don't listen to the Bitcoiners. They'll have your Bitcoin stolen. Put it into IBIT. I get cursed
Let's
out.
let Joe celebrate. I want to see how Joe celebrates
Joe,
81K.
are you
I,
happy?
How do you
Please tell me
celebrate
you're happy,
81K?
I
Joe.
mean,
No one's happy in this space.
I've been happy for a while.
Good.
Tao says all I want for Christmas is, is all time highs. All I want for Christmas is people not to throw a hissy fit just because Bitcoin has 3-4 months of bad price action and getting all bearish and buying into quantum FUD and
Puncher was pitching
and
silver.
BIP-110 FUD and all sorts of BS from Bitcoiners over the last 6 months and cycle FUD. And it's embarrassing. You owe it to yourself if you think you're going to talk about Bitcoin all the time to actually try to communicate. And this has nothing to do with the treasury market or the quote unquote big print. That's a bunch of total BS. It's about people front running the cycle theory, which was always a malarkey, and people getting ahead of it after convincing themselves that Bitcoin had to have some big bear market in 2026. And when we make a new all-time high this year, which I think we will, and potentially even further than that, you put all this nonsense to bed. There's no reason Bitcoin need to lag this year. The economy's fine. The stock market's been doing really well. But Bitcoiners convinced themselves and talked them into themselves that they had to have the price go down as if it were some inviolable law of nature. It's silly and it's
Joe,
hilarious.
let's stop. Let's celebrate. Joe,
Well,
let's celebrate. What's
here's the
positive?
here's the
Talk
positive.
about the
Yeah,
positive
no,
of this pivot that's happened
I'll
as a
tell you the
result of all
positive.
these Bitcoiners selling their Bitcoin.
There are 2+2 thinkers out there, literally, that are going to pile in. And I was just in a space listening to them,
talking about how once you break 82, market structure has changed and you got to go
It's
max
over.
long. You got to go max
Max
long
full
because
send.
that's a higher high, and
Full send.
the 2+2 thinkers now say now we have to get back in and we have to buy, and the bottom's in with
Joe, I want you to
90%
Joe, I want to
confidence.
challenge Joe. I
Where
want
were
to
they at
invite you,
60K?
Joe.
Where were they at,
Joe, I
the
want
entire year?
to
It's just
Joe, please, Joe.
embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Joe, please calm down. Listen, Joe, I want to invite you to be positive just for the remainder of this spaces, okay?
I'm very
Let's talk about
positive.
the Let's talk about we don't want to insult anyone. I want it, whether it's the big
The
print.
positive is you're embarrassing the fools that were pumping this nonsense for 6 months. That's the
Look, you
positive.
scared Puncher away. We almost dragged him into the fucking big Bitcoin tent,
Yeah, we
We
right?
don't
almost
Like,
want
got him into
Puncher.
the tent.
This is the space is has been ripping upwards, been crashing upwards since his crash out. Like literally purging these people from the ranks of so-called Bitcoiners is, I think, one of the most bullish things that could ever happen. Like if I think about it, like
Joe, we don't want to be inclusive, Joe. You don't want to be inclusive at a time like this.
when you're at the country club, okay, do you want to hang out with the guys who are in the corner whispering about conspiracy theories? Do you want to hit with the guys that are winners and are like the creme de la
I mean,
creme?
I know you're right,
I
but
want to be
like,
with the
this is
winners.
you don't get to choose your spaces
Okay,
now,
but how
like,
about the peasants?
unfortunately.
How about the peasants that British
No,
always talking
definitely
about?
not. Whoa, definitely
I want
not.
the
No?
What are you
peasants
Okay.
to
talking?
join
What are
me.
you talking? I'd rather talk with a rich conspiracy guy than a fucking peasant.
I
I
thought you said
mean,
you want to bring
What?
everybody into the tent. That's why I thought
I
bring
do.
everybody.
No, 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 no,
I
no,
want
no,
those
no.
guys to become
Everybody.
well
There's
off.
different sections to the
Yeah,
tent.
I want them to become well off. We listen. Like if you made a person, they want you to do better for yourself. They don't want you to continue to squander. Like a good person wants you to
Yeah.
do better for yourself. I
Yeah,
hope those
Joe, I'm
guys
being
see the light.
attacked right now, Joe, as you know, for doing my own research, literally. Like that's what I'm being attacked for. Like the space isn't a serious space right now, Just is what it
Not
is.
a serious
They don't
space.
want you to do your own research.
Listen,
Yeah, no, no. I literally Bitcoiners say do your own research all the time. And then I decided to do my own research on a Bitcoin insurance company, and now literally everyone is
Oh
cussing
my
me
god,
out
that was
for
so bad last night, British.
we do
They are
not want Bitcoin to be thought of as an asset that you buy for a fiat collapse. That is a losing message. It's been
that's a
losing.
dumb
We
argument.
want this to be the Cadillac of investments. It's not for everybody. It's for those people that really
It's
want,
for the
yeah, they
winners.
really want to win. And it's going to
Yeah.
crush other assets. And we have purged the doomers and the end of fiat and the BIP-110ers and the people talking about pedo
But no,
coin.
Fred's still here. Fred's still here.
I'm just saying this is going to be an asset that is a must own for the wealthy and super wealthy. And if you want to be
It's a
wealthy and
Veblen
super
good.
wealthy, you
It's
should
a
buy
Veblen
Bitcoin.
good. One of the heads of digital assets for a private bank in Switzerland was at an event that I kind of stumbled into and then was put on a panel for in Dubai. And he came up to me and he was on the panel as well. He goes, "I can't believe I'm seeing you here because this was early when I moved to Dubai." And he said, "Look, like I've been watching your videos and Bitcoin is the best private banking asset that we've ever seen." And he goes, "That's what we're building out." And this is a major. This is, I mean, I'll say he was on the panel. It's Julius Barr. Like this was not a small, a small cake here. So this is what's going on here. This is private banking's coming. Like not even coming is here. And so all of
When
none
is
of
When's Coots gonna offer it?
well, we'll find out. We'll find out. We'll see. You just gotta let the team take it. It's fine. The A team's here now. Okay, the Bitcoiners got to sit down. You know when I knew that the Bitcoiners had to sit down? I had again, it was in public, but I never liked saying the name because I have a lot of respect for him because he wrote the book that kind of helped me understand Bitcoin. But I was on a panel with Saifedean, and Saifedean turns to me because somebody like Puncher asked him a question, right? So he felt like he had to dance to Puncher's themes. And he compared Larry Fink to Alex Mashinsky. And I was like, what are we doing here? Like I didn't even know how to respond because I got so much respect for Safe. And I had to say, like, look, these are two different kettles of fish, and now you're gonna see the two different kettles of fish. One's a fucking shark, one's a great whale. So that's where we're at. Joe, take it
Killer
over. Come
No,
whales
on.
can eat sharks, by the way.
listen,
Joe, tell Puncher how bad he is. Go ahead.
I don't need to tell anyone how bad they are. They all know. The reality is that right now we're at an inflection point where the Bitcoin fundamentalists are outnumbered by the scores of capital that are coming into the space, and Bitcoin is going to be mainstream. It's going to become a mainstream asset that's going to be part of everybody's portfolio. And that's not, it's going to upset people because it's going to be put on in a variety of different ways, most notably through ETFs. And what you're going to do is you're going to push Bitcoin into the high six figures over the coming 5 to 10 years. And Bitcoin will become just as normal as an S&P 500 ETF. It's going to become a regular understood asset, and that is not going to in any way infringe on someone's ability to do on-chain custody and self-sovereignty and all these things. But that will not be the dominant way in which people interact with Bitcoin. As Hal Finney, who, I think he knew a little bit about Bitcoin, predicted over a decade ago, most Bitcoin is going to be held by banks. Most Bitcoin is going to be held by institutions. And you're going to react to it and interact with it on secondary and third layers. And I'm sorry if that's not the utopian vision of the Bitcoin fundamentalists that came of age post 2017, but is the reality. It's going to be the truth that Wall Street embraces. And you are not going to win if you think you're going to use this as a custody asset where 95% of people are natively interacting on chain. That was
Right,
never going to be
but
realistic.
even with that
I
statement
have a
though,
question
Joe.
for Joe.
But even with that statement though, the individual can still self custody if they
100%. You have the
really would
optionality.
like.
But
Yeah.
nobody's disagreeing with that. We don't have to keep
Yeah,
saying it
I
like
just
we've got
said
a
it
tick.
myself. I acknowledge it. You have that
I, ha-
right, right?
I have a question. I have a
Bitcoin
question.
has got Tourette's. Like that's the problem right now.
First of all, it wasn't
Here's
close.
here's
It
one.
wasn't. It wasn't close. It
Case
wasn't
in
close
point.
for a guy who's been in Bitcoin since 2013. It wasn't post 2017 where the idea of Bitcoin as separating money and state came about. That's just preposterous. But Joe, I have a question for you. We agree that numbers going to go up, but it's essentially a fiat system. I mean, do you agree that while number may go up and the world may adopt Bitcoin, that the separation of money and state for now is dead?
No, totally disagree.
Tell
Disagree.
me how it separates money and state.
Because native on-chain Bitcoin is the same as it was before and after, regardless of whether custodian is used. It's exactly the same.
Not if it's centralized and
Yep.
captured
You
by.
don't have to call BlackRock to send Joe your Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, and you can interact natively on-chain as much as
Not
you
right
want.
now. No, no.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. The
But if the
the
miners
the,
and the
the,
money
pro-
pools
the
are
problem is
centralized and they
we can't
decide,
have an intelligent conversation if we're using different terms. First of all, when you say Bitcoin is centralized, you're automatically setting up a straw man argument because centralization and decentralization,
I understand it's
they
counterfactual,
are
Joe.
spectrums. Okay, there's no such thing as a purely decentralized system. There's no such thing as a purely centralized system. We are moving on a spectrum of centralization to decentralization. And there have been periods where Bitcoin's network as a whole has been more
That's
centralized
not
and less
true. That's not
centralized.
true, Joe.
Okay, well, you tell me
The
how the
solar the
absolute
solar the
trend.
solar system is decentralized. No one controls it.
Well, you must not be a believer then in God. So, okay, yeah,
Damn, I guess you're no, you know what? I take it back. That's it. I messed up. That's it. You're right. That's it. Now I cave.
the reality is Bitcoin has never had pure, and this is again early writings of the Bitcoin Talk forums. You can go read this stuff. It's in Fred's book. There's pages, and if you read Fred's book, it's in there. There are spectrums of decentralization and centralization, and we think the current system with highly centralized as also has decentralized elements. For example, the current banking system, banks can print money out of thin air. They literally can just create money, credit your account. Here's $1 million. And they don't even have to have $1 million. They just have to have reserves, which we know don't have to be, fully reserve backed. So the current system, contrary to popular belief, is not fully centralized. It's decentralized because people can create offshore Eurodollar loans without any physical dollars or digital dollars. You can just say, I owe British $10 million because he's good for it. And we think he's creditworthy. So, I use that as an example because, in the current system, right, you're never going to prevent people from entering into private arrangements and agreements to say, I owe Grant 10 Bitcoin secured by his property. I can do that, right? And whether I'm good for it or not good for it, that's always going to exist. And if you think this idea here, oh, Bitcoin's being, paper Bitcoin and rehypothecated, and there's been derivatives, yeah, duh, that's how any system works. The question is the person good for it? You're never going to undermine private agreements and private contracts to create things. And if Bitcoiners thought that was
But
originally the
Joe.
idea, that was stupid.
But Joe. Joe, don't you think though, being honest, that system could blow up at any second in the next 50 years, and therefore we should consistently worry about it on a daily basis blowing up
Yeah,
now?
and the thing is, the stupid.
Don't you think that makes
No, I
These
think
complete
that makes no
sense?
assertions
sense.
and straw men. You're the king of the straw
Case
man.
in point, here we
No,
go. Go ahead.
not only does that make no sense
You're
from
straw. I can't.
it,
Brandolini's principle. That's you.
no, it's not a straw man. He just understands the arguments that people espouse in these spaces all the time, which are
Forget
just
it. I don't
garbage. And then
understand.
when you confront them, what do? They yell, they block, they tell you you can't, you don't know what you're talking about. They tell you you're naive. They tell you you're
You're
not a
not
real
real.
Bitcoiner. They
Who
call you a
said that?
Fed. They do everything under the sun because they can't debate with logic. That's the problem. This is why I've been
You guys.
blocked by Larry Lepard for 4 years because he's been preaching a bunch of utter nonsense.
Larry Lepard is wrong about the
That
big print.
Larry's on the big print team, Joe. Come on,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
that's fine.
big print
The
coming
big
any day
print
soon.
is playing out in front of your
It's
face.
happening
You
right
guys,
What are
now,
you
Joe.
you
talking
guys
Listen,
about?
are
we don't
dunking on
care.
Larry Lepard, who's called it
Okay,
from day one.
the big print, even though the balance sheet's down $2.5 trillion from 2020, real big print
Joe,
Oh,
company.
is
just let
that
him have
right?
it. Joe, let him have it. The money's being printed.
Yeah,
Let him
it's
have
being
it. It's
habit. Why don't
fine.
you just
Yeah, it's all
hey,
good.
listen? Anybody wants to
200 trillion in
Just
unfunded
let
liabilities.
Puncher think he's
Oh
right.
why
The,
don't if you want?
the price is pumping.
Here's the thing: you don't have to
I'm not
trust
quite
me.
sure what you guys are dunking about.
You don't have to
Like,
trust me. Go Google.
$81,000 Bitcoin. You guys are
Go
now like
go
geniuses.
Google. Go Google Federal Reserve balance sheet.
Nobody
Compare it
Googles
today.
anything, Joe.
Go
It's AI
compare.
age.
Okay, yeah, fine. You can use your LLM. Use your LLM to look at the Federal Reserve balance sheet.
Use my
Compare it from
RAG AI
2020.
is what I got.
We're down $2 trillion from where it was. So where's the big print? When's
I
the
don't know.
big
Why did
print
Scott
happen?
Bessent say he's going to take $1
It's not
trillion
happening.
that was
Joe,
4
Joe, the
billion
reality is the
outside?
big print hasn't happened yet. Okay,
Yeah, but if
Joe?
it
That's the
happens,
fucking
but if here's
reality.
the thing:
We know that.
if it happens in 10 years, they'll say, "Oh, we called it. We nailed it." Like, okay.
They did call it. They called it. You just got to give it to them. Look, at the end of the day, the reality is its number go up at all costs, right? Like we know that the LARPing that goes on
The
in this space.
federal
It's fine.
government is monetizing their debt. What are you two knuckleheads talking about?
Okay, see now you just repeated something that's false, fundamentally false.
It's not false.
Yeah,
Scott Bessent
they are
isn't
not
buying
monetizing. Okay, so let me
our
answer
treasuries. Buying our treasuries.
and okay, let me answer
The
this.
issuer is not
Let me
buying his
let
own
me
treasuries. Is
let
that
me
what you just said?
let me answer this. Okay, when you use the term monetizing debt, the term you can look it up or ask your LLM. It means the central bank buying the debt. That's what a
Joe,
monetization
you're a
is. It.
great lawyer.
It
You're hired if I ever need
Okay,
a
here we go.
lawyer.
Now we attack the lawyer because your
The
argument falls
issuer,
apart, and you keep interrupting because you
my
don't want to
argument
learn.
is the issuer of the
You
debt
want to
just
learn.
told
You
you
don't
he's
want to
going to
learn.
buy it back
First of all, that's not
with his own
monetization.
money.
That's not monetization. Okay. Let me just ask a
Joe, do
simple
words have
question.
meaning in your world?
Where did the dollars the Treasury uses to buy back the off the run securities? Where did they come from? Where do they come from?
They from thin air.
No. Tax. Totally
Winter.
wrong. Tax revenue.
Who earned them, Joe?
Tax revenue. They're from tax revenue. So you're wrong. You're totally wrong. Just like the government buys
A
anything, like
tax
or pays
revenue
anything.
doesn't cover a fraction of our expenditures.
Correct. So okay, now we're getting somewhere. Where does the rest of the money come from that they use to buy back the debt? Where are they going to get it from? Where's the treasury going to get it from? Very simple question. Part of it's tax revenue. Where's the rest? What makes up the deficit? Where do they get that from? They borrow, right?
They
So
borrow
if
from
you
who,
look,
Joe? From who?
they borrow from
Bond
you,
Who's
buyers.
buying our
bond
debt?
buyers.
You tell me who's buying our bonds.
I'll tell you, the pension funds.
Treasury
Oh, it's the
Yeah,
pension funds.
yeah.
I'll go through it.
Are
So
you
here's the
out of
thing.
your fucking mind?
Let me explain very
Dude, my
simply.
grandma just bought some
No, I
bonds
mean
today.
this is not we should not be debating because this is like literally 10th grade. Okay. If you want to buy 30 years, what Besson is doing right now, and you can look at it's not my opinion, look at his actual outlays, which is all public record. You can ask LLMs if you don't want. He will then issue T-bills, okay, short term, which they do, and they've done it a huge clip, and then they go and buy off the run
Why don't they
securities,
issue
off
30-year
the run
bonds,
treasuries.
Joe?
What?
Why don't they just issue 10 and 30-year bonds? What's all?
Because they're trying to bring interest rates down.
Oh, well, why don't you just let the market determine what interest
But
rates
that is
are?
different.
You got a
That is
yield
different
curve
from your
control.
false.
And how do you
That is
yield
different
curve
from your.
control? You
That is different from your false claim they're monetizing the debt because anybody who
Okay,
understands
Joe, are
language
they
knows
engaging in
No,
yield curve
don't.
control?
You're not gonna do this
You
thing where
keep
you slither
changing the
away from
meaning of
terminology
words
because
and
you
then
don't.
telling me I'm
No, it's
wrong.
not. I'm actually using the correct terminology. You just don't understand it. Monetization means buying by a central bank. The Fed is not buying anything. The Fed is drawing down
They're
their balance
going
sheet, at
to.
least keeping it stable.
They're going to.
Okay, they're gone. So slithering from your argument because you're
I'm not
wrong. And you
slithering
use
from
the
my
term
argument.
monetization.
This is
Yes, you
phase
are. You
one.
use
The
the term,
Treasury is now doing it.
yeah, the phase term. We'll
It
do
was
something else.
4 billion as of Friday, and now it's 1 trillion. And
And it,
then
it
when they
doesn't,
can't do it
all they're
anymore, the
doing is
Fed will
changing
do
the
it.
composition of their perfect buys. I mean, that's all they're doing. They have the right to do that.
Oh,
But
they have the right. Oh,
you claim,
where does
yes,
that
under
right?
statute,
Where does that right come from? Statute?
statute.
Oh, well, as long as it's legal to buy back your own issuances, then I guess that's fine.
That's their job. They're supposed to manage the issuance. They get to decide how to issue T-bills, how much the middle of the curve, how much of the at long end.
Joe,
That's their
that all
choice.
relies on the rest of the world wanting to buy them. That's been the system,
Okay, see again,
which they no longer
wrong,
want to
wrong
do.
again, wrong again. Okay, so let's just analyze what Puncher says and the truth. Puncher says the truth is that the rest of the world has to buy it. False, because the
They don't
majority of U.S.
have
debt.
to.
Hang on, stop
We're
talking. The
offering
majority of
it
the
to
U.S.
them.
debt, majority of U.S. debt is held by domestic institutions. That's a fact. Majority of U.S. debt is held by U.S. entities and individuals. So when you say it needs to rely
How
on
much is held
foreigners
by
to
the
buy,
Fed?
that's false.
How much is held
That's
by the Fed?
false. I think it's right now 6 trillion.
Joe,
6
you've
trillion.
wrapped yourself in an impenetrable veneer of
6
legal
trillion.
bullshit.
No, I've wrapped myself in facts, and you don't know anything besides what Larry Lepard tells you. That's the
Oh,
problem.
okay. All right, Joe. Why
And
can't
dark
we? Why
side.
I
can't
forgot about
we
Dark
issue
Side.
10 and
I'm
30
sorry.
year
I was wrong.
treasuries
I'm
or
sorry.
bonds?
Larry and Dark Side. I'm
Why
sorry. I
can't?
correct myself.
Why isn't the rest of our world buying our bonds?
They are. They had record buys last year. What are you talking about? There's a record buy last year. So Puncher asked a question. I answer it,
Who
and
is
then
it?
no
Who, Joe?
acknowledgement.
Which
Believe
country? Which country is buying our
the countries
bonds?
that hold them roll the bills and roll the
China?
bonds. They
Is
expire.
China buying them?
Listen,
Is
listen.
Japan buying them?
Okay, I'm going to
Is
go to your
Europe
own
buying them?
timeline. I'm going to go to your own timeline. You shared something in 2025 that $8 trillion worth of debt was rolled. Who bought it? Because it was rolled last year. Last year, 8 trillion. So who bought all that debt? Do you want to know?
Levered
I
hedge
can break
funds
it
out of
down
the
with numbers.
Caymans and Tether.
False. False. In fact, last year you had over 800 billion bought by
Which
foreigners.
country? I'm asking you a
I mean,
very
listen,
specific
you're
country.
the one. You're the one who
Does it
wants.
matter?
It
You're the
does.
one who wants
Name
to.
one.
Japan, UK, China, Belgium,
Okay, so
Canada.
you want?
Okay.
I can.
China's
Does
buying.
it
China
matter
hasn't
though?
been a net buyer of our bonds since
Okay,
2014.
now we're pivoting, slithering once again because we're wrong. It's net buyers.
You're
Now we're
right, Joe.
changing it from
Everything's
buyer to net
fine.
buyer.
Everything's fine.
Okay, now we're
Nothing to see here.
now after
We're
multiple claims you make are disproven,
we're
you're
not
switching over
disproving.
to
Who
this
disproved
argument.
anything?
After they're
You're right, Joe.
disproven, you switching
Everything's
over to this
fine.
argument. Oh, everything's fine,
Inflation's
Joe. Did I
3%.
ever? You want to talk about straw man? You accuse British of being a straw man. You're the king of straw man. You constantly on everything from BIP
You
110 to
just
Absolutely.
anything.
The
said, where's
leader.
the
You are the
liquidity?
king of making up false straw man arguments because your real arguments
You
fail with
guys,
logic.
you guys are dunking because Besant announced
Here
$1
comes
trillion
We're
Puncher.
dunking
of
because you've
bond
been wrong about
buybacks.
everything for 6 months, and you're never going to stop because you don't want to listen.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking
What
about
Puncher,
reality are
you
you
gotta
facts.
two
turn off the dark
constructs
side
living in?
reruns.
What happened to the Comex blow up? What happened to the vibrations were off last year? I kept seeing your feed and
Samsung. Don't
everything.
forget
What topic
Samsung.
about every single thing
The
every day on Big?
Comex
What
blow up.
talk? What talk about the time where you said the generals were massing in Virginia and that was a sign of instability and martial law about
Who
to be
said that? What
instituted?
do you
You
fucking
did
who?
on a recorded
I
space on
said,
Bitcoin today.
I
Yes, you
said
did.
the generals
I've got a
are
recording of
amassing
it. Do you
in
want?
Virginia. Yes,
Yes, you said
yes.
when Pete Hegseth had his stupid meeting that this was
I'll bet
instability
you
abound. You know,
$10,000 you can't produce that fucking video. $10,000. Do
deal
we have a bet?
done.
Do we have a bet?
You,
Do we have
yeah,
a
you
bet that
said
I
it.
said generals were
I want to
amassing
make
in
sure I got
Virginia?
the terms. You said I've never
Joe,
seen anything like this. Generals,
$10,000. Do you want to bet it or
I
not?
want to make sure I
Put
know
your
the
money where
terms.
your
I'll
mouth
bet you.
is. $10,000.
I want to make sure I know the terms because I can find the video from Bitcoin today. You were talking about Pete
10
Hegseth massing in Virginia. I've never seen anything like these generals massing.
massing in Virginia.
Yeah, they were.
Around what? Be specific. What are you talking about?
You don't remember the meeting where all the Pete Hegseth called all the generals together to meet in Virginia?
Yeah, and I said they were amassing what?
You
They
said
were
they were
purging
coming
generals.
together
They
and
were
you've never
purging
seen anything
DEI
about.
generals from the military. That's what
That's
happened.
not what you said at the time. You said it was going to trigger civil
Okay.
instability and martial law was coming,
Okay.
and the
Fine.
vibrations were off, which we
This
all
is
heard.
recorded. I will bet you $10,000 that you can't produce that clip. Are you on? Are
Hey,
you in or not?
Hey, I want to. What are we? What clip? Because we're not even
What
agreeing
are
on
you
what you
confused
said.
about? You just made an assertion about
Okay,
something I
yeah.
said.
So just to be clear, I will bet you $10,000 that you
Yeah?
talked about the generals massing in Virginia, wherever.
Amassing for instability.
No, that they were coming
You just
together
said
and the
that 5 fucking
vibrations were
seconds
off.
ago. What are you talking about? You just said 3 seconds ago that I said the generals were amassing in Virginia to combat instability. Am I imagining things? Did he say that or not?
You brought this up on multiple spaces as a sign that the vibrations were off. That was your quote. So do you want to bet on
First of
that?
all, I've never said vibrations are off. You may have me confused with dark, but the bet is on the table
It's
now.
easy to make that confusion. To be fair,
$10,000. British, you already paid me
I
a
can't. I
thousand. You
can't
lost your
bet
bet.
you unless I know exactly what you're saying. So
yeah,
I
that
You
was
just
like
made an
$5
assertion.
away
So
from
okay,
my
let me
target
let
price
me
or
get the
whatever it
clip.
Take your
was.
Hang on,
assertion.
give me 10 minutes and I'll get the clip because I have it. So hang on, because it was the most stupid thing I've heard on this app.
By the
And
way, do you know how weird it is that you're tracking anything on my spaces
okay, here
from
we go.
a year ago,
Well, I
2 years
don't need
ago?
to
No,
track a
that's not
year ago.
weird.
You
Yeah,
say
everyone needs receipts.
you say stuff every day on the space that's ridiculous. I mean,
I'm not. I haven't been on Bitcoin today in months.
I'm not talking about Bitcoin today. On the space is what I said. I mean,
Joe,
everything you said with your crash out of
Gotta have
110 was
receipts.
ridiculous. You know,
Joe,
it's
you're the
lost. You said
okay.
Bitcoin is no
Okay,
longer sound money. You said that in the space. Did you not? Did you not say Bitcoin is
Joe,
no longer sound money?
forget about everything. I want to clear all the fucking the the bullshit you're spewing. You are going to produce. Oh, first of all, do
Hunter, I
we
just
have
want
a
to make
bet?
sure. Are you okay?
Dude, my life is a
All right.
fucking
If
bowl
you
of
need a
cherries.
hug, I'm here in the
No,
DMs for
I
you.
have this. I have
I'm good.
the recording because it's
Wait,
ridiculous. So
Joe,
hang on a second.
I
Joe,
don't
Hang on.
like
I'll tell you
seeing
as soon as
Hunter
I hear it.
crash
focus,
out.
I'll quote you
focus.
verbatim.
Give
Give
me
I'm
me
a
a
hug,
minute.
buddy.
deposing you
Give
now,
me a
Joe.
moment.
I'm deposing
Yeah, I'm
you.
going to go to the source material because I have it. Hang on.
No. Do we have a
I'm
bet?
not going to bet until I know exactly what
Hey,
you said.
wait.
I'm not going
Can
to.
we
Bullshit
pivot
happens.
before this sends the price below 80? I mean,
Here's
we got
the
to pivot
here's
here. We're riding high.
we'll
This space will send
When Puncher
the
starts
price below.
talking, the
Can
price
I
just
can
starts
I
pumping.
can I
I
add just
just,
a little bit of
I'm an ex bookie. I want to know what the bet is. I want to know if I have action. What's
while
with the
you
bet?
guys figure out the bet, I just want to say my friend from a couple of nights ago that heard the Besant speech 3 or 4 days ago and went and bought $1 million of Bitcoin. He's called me every day, like, bro, this guy's 80. What I'm 68. He's 85 years old. Okay. He's like, Bitcoin is never going below, it'll never touch 70 grand again. Like he is so convicted right now. He's a new
It's
guy to
better than
Bitcoin.
peptides, Grant. It's better than peptides.
Well, those
Hey,
are
don't
different.
scoff at peptides.
I think they do different things, but he is. This is a new guy to the game. Okay, I introduced him to Bitcoin through one of our real estate projects. He had never invested in one of my real estate projects until I added the Bitcoin. He gave me a check for $15 million for our first real estate Bitcoin project. He's the one that told me go build 10 of these and take them public. He's got 2 publicly traded companies active right now. He's the wealthiest biotech guy in the country. His name's Bob Duggan. Look him up. He's probably, I don't know, any given day he's worth 12 to $25 billion. He's got a company called Pulse and another one called Summit Technologies.
Does he own Duggan's mortuary?
No. And he's not in the mortuary business, but he has killed some fucking fiat. And he's calling me. So I onboarded him to Bitcoin a year and a half ago through this Melbourne project I did. The first one did that Dark Side invested with me in. And he's the one that said, hey, you need to put these together, keep scaling them. He called me yesterday. This thing's never going, like he is so excited. And it's $1 million he's excited about. Okay. And he's worth whatever. But he sees this as a way for people to create tremendous amounts of wealth without a lot of friction. So whatever positive news that is, I didn't mean to wreck the negativity or the debate because it is good, but I would like to see you guys have a fucking good, clean bet.
Yeah,
A
I'm going
good,
to a
clean bet,
dance.
by the way, the rest of us should be able to take side bets on.
I
Yep. Hang on
agree.
one second.
I agree. I'm going into a dance studio. I'll be back up.
Grant, I just want to say I really appreciate the positivity. I know everyone else doesn't, but I really fucking appreciate that. That's real adoption right there.
I'm
Not the
about to.
fucking
Numbers
milk
going up.
sellers. Not the milk sellers and whoever Punch is trying to talk to.
I mean,
That's
all
real
reality,
adoption.
it's not any real, it's no money for him, right? But it is a new guy coming to play the game. Trust me, he's never reading the white paper. All this vigilante shit, changing the world, it's going to save everything. The fiat's going to zero. Like he doesn't want to hear any of that shit for whatever it's worth, whether it's right or wrong or what indifferent. He doesn't give a shit about all that, and he doesn't want to hear that the fiat monetary world that we all live in every day and depend on is going to collapse. That does not give him a fucking warm fuzzy.
He just wants to see his horse run in the race. That's all.
Yeah, and he wants to win, dude. He wants to win.
So are you guys saying Leia Hepburn is wrong about waiting for 55K, that we're not going to go 55K?
What he's saying, Tao, is Bitcoin is digital Viagra. That's what he's saying.
Okay, thanks. I need that clarity. Yes.
Yeah, does that chick own any Bitcoin?
Doubt it.
She's a 4-year cycle maxi, from what I understand.
Well, that's cool, but does she own any? Has she bought any recently?
I have no idea.
Like, if you're on peptides, show me what it did for you. Like,
Got to see the results. Got to see the
exactly. I want to
results.
see some results. I want to see receipts, bro. I want to see you using it. Like I ain't taking a fat guy ain't gonna teach me how to get in shape. I don't want to learn from him. I feel weird. Fucking what are you, Fatso? What are you doing? Telling me how to do fucking sit ups? I don't know who the idiot is.
Here's a quick question, not to pivot. What's in British? Maybe you have an idea. What do we think Bitwise is going to announce tomorrow, product wise?
Can't comment.
And that guy I was talking about, by the way, he's more likely to put 40 or 50 million into IBIT than he is to. He will never have any cold storage. Okay, like never is going to happen. This guy can barely operate his iPhone.
Grant, are you saying the ETF's a good thing?
For him, it's the perfect thing.
Yeah, I agree.
He will never, ever, dude. Like he doesn't have a password on his computer. He wouldn't know how to power his own computer up, guys. Like you guys understand. Now is he a retard or a dumbass? Okay, whatever. He's worth fucking $20 billion.
Yeah.
No, Punch is smarter than him, though, for sure. This is the attitude of the Bitcoiners. They got like 10 grand in Bitcoin, and they're smarter than multi-billionaires. I'm tired of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I exaggerated the guy's net worth. It looks like Google says it's 13 billion this week.
Is that it?
But the
How dare you
I
lie?
think when this was done, his stock pulse was at $30, and it's at 50 today, and he probably owns 22 million shares or 220 million shares. It's his company. I mean, he owns the bulk of the company. So that's good news. Big money is coming to the show.
Oh yeah.
And I just had another, cool thing was I just had a guy buy a $30,000 product from us with half a Bitcoin 5 days ago. We take Bitcoin at all our stores.
Hey Grant, can you describe what the appeal of these high net worth individuals that you're speaking to? What was the appeal of Bitcoin to them? Like,
For him, Thomas, it was he understood the real estate and he saw the Bitcoin as something that could pull it up.
like
It was
icing on the cake.
yeah, it was the combination. Now once he had the taste, right? He watched the Bitcoin go down. He watched the real estate value go up because we bumped the rents. We took a thing that was basically it was struggling. It was 85% occupied. We took the property to 94, rebranded it, renamed it, pulled the NOI up. While Bitcoin was going down, we actually offset the decline in the Bitcoin. And he's like, bro, with that little combination you got protected the slide on the Bitcoin. He's like, but he knows both of them are long holes, right? Or he's like 3, 4 years, 7 years, 10 years. He's like, you got, this is good. And now he, rather than doing another deal with me on the real estate and the Bitcoin, he just went and bought more Bitcoin.
So, your typical real estate investor, are they interested in the general appreciation of real estate, which we've had, plus the cash flow, or are they seeing this Bitcoin component? Do they buy into this whole issue of scarcity in a world
No,
of profligacy?
no. I never talked to him about 21 million Bitcoin. And I never spend any of this time talking about all these explanations.
None of this actually matters. Once you start talking to people with money, like none of this actually matters. I sensed this 4 years ago, let alone now.
Dude, they buy a prostitute, okay? Not my buddy Bob, because he wouldn't do that, but they don't care if the tits are real or not. I'm just, like, dude, just service me.
Well, they make it feel so realistic you can't tell anyways.
Exactly. So that's, So my point is, like, he doesn't need all the details, man. He just wants a winning horse. And the fact that I got
Hey,
him,
Sean, you there?
I onboarded the guy into Bitcoin without, all this
All this
history on
LARPing?
Bitcoin.
Yeah,
All
Greg,
this mumbo jumbo. All this mumbo jumbo.
Bro,
understand.
I don't need the owner's manual on the car. I just want to get it in and go fast.
You didn't give him the white paper before making the
I
purchase.
did not demand
You didn't tell him to roll dice?
Wait, you didn't listen to he
I did
listened
not,
to dark side
I did
reruns?
not demand that he listen to 100 hours of Mike Saylor.
Wait, you didn't tell him to roll dice? How dare you, Grant?
I didn't bring up the dice.
So the cypherpunk comes to the asset in a completely different mindset. They don't have any money. They see this, et cetera, et cetera. We all know that.
The
But
cypherpunk
the
is done. They're not coming
the
anymore.
rich guys are going to move this asset, the wealth. We talked about this earlier a few days ago, Grant, where you add up all the billionaires and guys that have 3, 4, 500 million and up. A decent chunk of them are going to allocate 1, 2, 5, 10% of their assets into this. Even if they do a small insurance amount, it's going to move the number. What I'm trying to get at, because you're having these conversations on a daily basis, is what is the motivating factor for them to be interested in it? Now, I'm very familiar with the Melbourne project,
NGU.
but is it a hedge? Is it they buy into the
It's NGU,
yeah, but
Thomas. It's NGU. They want
that's
to make
low. That's
money.
low alpha when you say that. I mean, that.
Yeah, this is the problem when you guys think that isn't enough.
Why do you think Why do you think it's going to go up? Why would a rich person think that Bitcoin's going to go up? That's the. It's more. You need more substance behind the argument.
Well, in his case,
You really don't.
he knows we're going to continue to print money. He's got 85 years. He knows for 85 years, despite it's good or bad or whatever. Like he wouldn't listen to these conversations, right? He's like, we're printing money. Because if you don't print money, you don't get to play the game anymore. We're going to print money, dude. We're going to keep the lights on,
The,
guys. Okay.
if you don't print money, the game
It's over,
stops. The
bro.
music
Like, how many times
stops.
do you guys have to know that we're going to print money, whether you like it or not? We're printing money. Whether you,
This is what I've been trying to explain. Like they think it needs to be some kind of sexy kind of like the world's gonna end kind of scenario. It
yeah, and
doesn't.
I don't know why it's terrible that we print money. Otherwise, we can't play the game. We'd still all be fucking walking around with fucking gold coins in our pockets, or trying to trade them.
Thomas is in literal shock right now. Thomas is in literal
No, he's
shock
not.
right now
Thomas gets
because
this.
this might be the first time No, Thomas doesn't understand that it's as simple as the money's being printed and I want to make money. Therefore, I want
But
to own
those
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
conversations, those are not conversations that are common with the people that I talk. I pitch to a
Yeah, because you're talking to
no,
the
no,
poor's. Like, I don't know. I'm
I'm talking to
sorry.
banks and regional banks, and we were talking about high net worth individuals within their corporate, and they were not interested in these.
Yeah.
And so I was
Yeah.
just trying to get from Grant's perspective.
They're because Thomas, how old was the guys?
Oh, these guys are 70.
Yeah,
So
they're 70, dude. They're not interested in learning something new.
yeah,
They're interested in getting there. They want to retire. They're not up for a new game. I'm a very young 68-year-old. This 85-year-old guy, he's extremely young. Like he wants to play the game, man. He wants the next race. But most of these bankers, Fred was talking about a couple of his buddies that had $10 billion funds. That's not a big fund. I have a $5 billion fund. That's not big. You know, they're making maybe 8 or 10 million bucks a year before any expenses or risk or legal or blah whatever. So they're like, dude, I just want to preserve my $8 million a year.
yeah. So let me ask it this way. This is
They don't want to go to 80 million. Like they're running out of time. They can't even enjoy. They wouldn't know how to spend that kind of money.
yeah. So the think of it. Let me ask it this way. The rich guy, let's just use the billionaire. Does he see Bitcoin as a hedge or an opportunity? If he sees it as a hedge, he's putting 1 or 2%. If he sees it as an opportunity, he's putting
Yeah,
10%.
yeah,
And I'm trying to
yeah.
get.
I don't know if these guys. I think some of my buddies that I know that have that kind of net worth, most of them are not worried about the hedge. They're like, dude, if they're worth 10 billion, you're making $50 million a year in a treasury. You cannot. I don't care how creative you are or how many bad habits you have. You cannot spend $4 million a month. You'll get exhausted. You'd kill yourself spending money. So I don't think they're looking for a hedge. So then there leaves the other guy. What's the next guy looking for? He's looking for, I want to turn 10 into 25 or 30 or 50. I don't want to start a new company. I'm 85. I can't start another one. I got two right now pregnant. They're in the oven cooking right now. What's he going to do? Start a third one? Fuck, I could load up in this Bitcoin shit. I'm running out of time. I can't buy real estate. I need 10 years on that. This Bitcoin thing, if it blows up in 4 years, fuck, I could take 25 and turn it into 50. He could end up doubling his net worth in 5 years. I think that's what he's thinking. And he doesn't believe it's going to go to zero. He's absolutely certain it's not going to zero. He doesn't think it goes back to 70. So, and he believes that the federal government will continue to print money. If you guys believe they're going to print, Bitcoin's going to go up at some point. Gold will go up, silver's going to go up, my real estate, great real estate will go up. Shit real estate will go sideways and down. There's plenty of real estate in this country. There's no shortage of real estate in this country. If anything, we probably in an oversupply at this point. But everybody's going to tell you there's a shortage. There's not a shortage.
Would you say that's a regional statement versus, um, like you operate in South Florida a lot?
Now, generally, I would say that there's an oversupply of real estate in America right now.
Yeah.
There's plenty of housing. There's tremendous amounts of vacancy across the board.
We,
So
here,
if we're 4 million homes short, there's 45 million apartments, and the occupancy rate nationwide is about 90%. So there's 4.5 million housing units right there. Now, whether you want to live in that or not, I don't know, but you can go over the Midwest, through the Midwest, you'll find vacancies. You go into Mississippi, you'll find they're not just vacant, dude. They're abandoned. Go up to
we're seeing in New Jersey, the market's still pretty hot here in New Jersey.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, of course,
it's just a limited supply,
exactly,
and
and they won't let you build.
that's right. And so,
In San Francisco, same thing. New
yeah,
York City, same thing. Anywhere you can't build, rents are going to go up. But look, Miami, Palm Beach, all that's going to become like it's going to happen. If they keep doing that shit they're doing in New York, Dallas is going to become a New York. But that needs time. Now, Bob, my friend Bob, he don't have 20 years. So he's like, man, he can't bet on gutters and roofs and termites and it's too heavy. Look, the guy he's known me for 20 years. He's never invested in a real estate project with me until I added Bitcoin.
Why wouldn't he invest
It
before?
was too slow. It's too slow. It's too heavy. I added the Bitcoin. He's like, okay, now I can go faster.
So too slow. Let's just say before you did the Bitcoin hybridization, where you're like 7-8 year investments.
Yeah, I don't think he doesn't care that it's going to be 7 or 8 years. He just knows it's heavy,
Yeah, he needs
and
more.
the Bitcoin has an explosion factor. He's used to taking companies public. He's used to watching a $1 stock go to 50, like he's got right now. A company
Hey,
called Pulse.
Grant, I had a question for you. Do you see any opportunity to create affordable housing? And when I say affordable housing, not in the traditional sense like subsidized type housing, but housing where a starter home, almost like a Levittown community, that's somewhere that people would even want to be, younger people, where they could get into a new house in around, I don't know, pick a number, 200 grand? Or is that just not possible with costs today?
No,
Site work.
it's not possible because of regulations.
What if you wrapped in, because of regulations? Well, let's assume
The,
we
the,
got
the
rid of regulations.
regulations to build a house today, the regulations could cost anywhere between $35,000 and $75,000 per door.
That's crazy.
So your 200 grand, that only leaves 125,000 to build the house. You can't even get the labor.
Yeah,
You
even
hadn't bought, you
3D
hadn't bought,
printing.
you hadn't bought the land. You haven't bought any materials. And by the way, all that shit's going to data centers. It ain't going to single family homes.
Yeah, you're right. What about Bitcoin? Make it more.
Blackstone's selling a large portion of their multifamily to move into data centers. And some people over there think that, they're like, we don't even know if this is the right thing to do
We're getting
because
some.
they'll never be able to buy this multifamily. They know. I mean, I'm doing a big deal with them right now. And the guy told me, he's like, we'll never be able to buy this multifamily at what we're selling it to you for. Ever. We know 10 years, 15 years from now, we're going to have to pay double to you what we're selling it for. But they're moving. This is the rotation. They're moving to that data center because they think there's a lot of money to be made in the short term.
We're getting
Does that
lobbied heavy in my town to pass legislation to block data centers. Now, about a dozen towns in New Jersey have done it. We're examining it right now. I don't want to be any competitive, and I think a lot of the legislation that I've read locally, it won't stand a court test. So,
You mean blocking it won't stand the court test, or
well,
doing it?
the way it's being blocked, because you got to write these zoning laws.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think
Unenforceable.
so you're saying they won't approve it there?
Nah, in our town we have an abandoned data center that Merck had.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no demand here because the electricity is too expensive, like 20 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's really what's driving it. But there's a populist movement in New Jersey right now to block data centers, and it crosses partisan lines.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting to actually watch. I got a meeting tomorrow about it.
It's going to go. You guys will say no to it. It'll go to Texas. It'll come to Florida. The governor DeSantis just said, "Hey, build a data center here. Elon, please come down here. What do you want to build?"
Yeah,
do you get the
I don't
sense
want
that
to. I don't
that's
want to see that.
subsidized by
Push.
some
I don't want to push companies out
NGO
of
or something?
the state. That's a death spiral.
Are there political forces behind that opposition, Thomas? Is that well funded by somebody?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a Republican, right? And I'm in a Republican town, but the state is run mostly by Democrats. Mickey Sherrill is the governor, just got elected.
Oh, I'm
She
familiar.
has a very reasonable position on data centers, which basically says, hey, You can build it, but it's got to be transparent. You got to be reasonable. You have to make sure you pay your fair share relative to the impact of the energy grid. Blah blah blah. So
And here's the donation page for my political campaign.
yeah. No, I thought her. I mean, I'm not a fan of hers, but I think her position on data centers is reasonable. What's happening in the towns around me is they're passing legislation or local ordinances and zoning laws to actually do hard blocks. So I've looked at all of them, and my issue is we're slow to do the legislation locally because you do it to create a problem, and especially when you're reacting to populism. It creates a secondary or tertiary problem that's a bigger problem you want to deal with. So I'm a little slow to react on this until we get a little more clarity. Because I just don't. I think, the analogy is we don't need a law to stop Elon Musk from launching rockets in the center of town. He isn't going to do it here. This is so locating data centers in the middle of New Jersey with 20-cent kilowatt hours doesn't make any sense. They're not going to do it. What I don't want to do is pass a legislation that blocks reasonable data centers as part of part of your operations. What we don't want to see is the hyperscalers come in and suck all the electricity out of the grid.
Hey guys, if Bitcoin fell tonight to 72, would you borrow money tomorrow to buy it?
At what rate?
Well, you tell me what rate. I mean, how
2%.
huh?
2%, yes. 9%, maybe.
Oh wow, yeah. So
Look,
It
the
feels
number's going higher, man.
it feels like the setup is we're gonna go over 100,000. It's just a question of the speed and the path. That there was to me it feels like there was we crossed over the 40 trillion. Now again, it's just a number on a piece of paper because there's how they do the accounting, etc. But it just feel like, hey, we crossed this milestone, and then it just feels like there's an alignment here. We're going to get into these midterm elections, and I think you're going to start to see stuff get pretty crazy in the next few months. I don't. It doesn't feel, and you guys all have an opinion on this. It doesn't feel like the Republicans are going to be able to hold the House. Maybe we'll be surprised. Everyone thinks one thing and another thing happens, but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like that in the races that I'm involved with. That the Republicans are going to do well.
Other than the annoyance of repeated impeachment attempts, I mean, it seems like we're in a post-legislation America where president executive order rules the day.
So, Puncher, think of the scenario where the Dems win the House. They narrowly control, and the Republicans narrowly control the Senate, so it blocks things. There's no super majority to do anything. There's lots of impeachment hearings, so it's a circus in D.C. And I would think you're going to see the administration test the limits on executive authority to do lots of things. So you'll see some tension with the courts. But all of the thing that I would say, if I had a concern politically, would be if I go back to COVID, we carpet bombed the economy with money because there was full political alignment that there was a problem that needed to be addressed. Today, if we said, hey, we need to put more liquidity into the market, there's probably not a full alignment as to when, where, and how. So typically you need a crisis to get that alignment. I don't know what that crisis looks like, but I do think we're going to see some great political circus in the next 6 months.
It's so funny to me that Grant just asked like one of the most essential questions right now in markets. And we just went straight back to bullshit in like 3 seconds. The question is would you put leverage long on Bitcoin or not? Like that's a really good question. Is it time yet? Yeah, I would.
I would. Asked what
and
rate.
I have at the 200-week moving average at Schwab margin rates and IB margin rates.
What's the 200-week moving average right now?
I think it's like, hold on, I'll tell you exactly.
I mean, this thing.
64,313.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
Was
the
that the 60?
There's two
Was that the
indicators that I like
200
to look at.
day?
I'm not a
200 day
chart.
or
200 week. 200 week.
200 week.
I like the
That's
200
so. How
week.
many years is
Yeah.
that?
I've always talked about
That's
the
4
200 week.
years.
4 years,
Uh-huh.
basically. Yeah. That to me is like, I've talked about this for forever. Like that is the institutional bottom line on a long-term uptrend. Sometimes it goes and stays below it for too long, and that happened last time. But no, this time it didn't feel like that. But that's when I go lever. If I want to add leverage, that's when I add leverage.
And then I'd love to know how many people, at least on the stage, have a buy order in for some number lower than what it is right now.
I do, but only because I got greedy over $50 lousy dollars at 72.5.
Right, bro? I hate that shit.
Usually the volatility, and sure, you put it before you go to bed, you wake up, it's filled. And this time it didn't fill.
Grant, I place out of the money calls ahead of this what I think is going to rip over 100. So I'm just picking. I'm looking for nice option pricing, and I'm layering in that way. And then I want to make sure I have the
So what
cap
does that look like exactly? I've never done that before. So you do what?
on IBIT calls. So I would buy an IBIT call out of the money, maybe 5 points, and then you go out on a duration curve. And again, you pay for that. You go the
So
further
give me
you go
give me
out.
give me the actual example like today.
So I would pick January 15th, I think is the date. I might pick 5 points out of the money, and I would buy, and I just layer in 1,000 shares at a time. And you want to make sure you have the capital to execute the call, or you can flip out of it. But yeah, I'm layered in from December out to March, because I think, again, I go back to my political thesis. I think we're going to see some chaos. I think the number's going to rip by the first quarter. So I want to be positioned. And so, you can borrow money and buy it outright, and then you don't have to worry about time. You just have to pay your nut on the cost to carry for the debt, or you can buy leverage through out of the money options. But you just got to be careful you don't overdo it, right? Because if you don't have the capital to back it up, it's like it's almost like gambling. You're doing too much. To me, it's just a risk management thing. That's the way I prefer to do it.
You also have to be right on. You also have to be right on timing, right?
Yep.
With options, and that's a yeah. That's why I like
200
doing it at the 200 week moving average and
and,
not
and
any
somebody
other
would do the
times.
calls rather than just buying the Bitcoin because it just
You can basically, it's like building in
uh-huh.
leverage. So instead of paying the interest, you're buying the right to speculate on the stock, right? Rather than paying the interest on the loan, you're paying the premium to control that stock, and you get 2x basically. Approximately right now it's 2x. It depends on where the market's pricing the options. So like the best trade that I did in my life was MSTR call options the day after they announced the Bitcoin treasury strategy in 2020. And the reason why it was the best trade ever wasn't because it was a Bitcoin. It was because the market had not priced in Bitcoin volatility into MSTR, right? So I caught it right at that early point, and therefore the repricing of MSTR based on Bitcoin's volatility was like almost a 300% return by
Yeah.
itself.
So British is right. You got to be right on the timing. You get that wrong, you lose. That's why you got to size your capital bet appropriately. I'm just looking at the list of specifics. January 15th, 27 call at 38 on IBIT. 38 is the strike price. I bought that, when we were down before this least recent pop. That's up 132%. I did the same date, 115 at 42. Those are up 298%. Did 55s. Those are up 61%. I did some at 45. Some short-term options. Those are down. I mistimed that. So the thing is, if you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to size.
You must have done these exactly when everyone was bearish as fuck, like 7 to 10 days ago,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that, right?
These are about 10 or
Yeah.
15-day positions, but I'm not sizing it
Yeah.
so much that I would. Let me say it this way: I size it in a way where I can execute the call, which means that relative to my capital stack, I'm not betting more than I can afford, because you can really get yourself upside down here if you do too many options and you get the timing wrong. You can get wiped out. And
Were you writing calls, Thomas, when we were trending sideways at all?
I did. I did the chop, and then what happens when I flip to buying long calls like this, the ones I just mentioned. Prior to that, I was writing covered calls and just rolling them. And you can make decent money in the sideways market, but as soon as the market moves up, or you're going to get called out because you can't chase it, because you're just too disconnected. And if the market goes down, you're holding an underlying just to catch a covered call, and you don't want to be in either position. So yeah, but listen, I'm a full on amateur here. I am, I know what to do. I understand the general mechanics, but I am not an expert. I'm just telling you what I do. I
Dude,
do.
that sounds like a damn job right there.
It kind of is. It's when you have short term positions on,
Yeah.
you got to be sitting at your desk. That's what these calls out in January, not so much. But if you have 0-day options or stuff with 4 or 5 days duration left, you got to pay attention.
I forget what book it was I read, one of my first investing books, and it said something to the effect of 97% of people who buy options or mess around with options lose money. I therefore submit you've learned everything you need to know about options.
Yeah, I think that's. I would say I agree with that. So, there's guys who we know on this who are professional options traders, and I listen to them, I message them, I talk to them, get a sense of what they're doing. Um, Sometimes I'll draft their trades if they share them with me at a much lower level. Um, but yeah, it's high risk. It's
If
high
you don't
reward.
know it to the extent of Merkle trees and all that crap,
No,
you're
no,
in the
no.
wrong.
Once you get into all the Greek alphabet stuff, I kind of glaze over. Like, I just know that my premise is I just think Bitcoin's going up. So I choose to position myself. I have a lot, but when I'm adding to my position, I'm adding it through optionality, through the options. And if it doesn't go up, I lose money on the option. But that would, that's the choice I'm making. If I were to borrow money or to put a position and it were to go down 10, but I'd be down. So it's just
So it
there's.
sounds like you're getting leverage, so you're able to buy more Bitcoin with less money.
Yeah, that's really what the goal is here. I told you what the returns were on some of those. Now
Oh, it's crazy, bro. Like that's
I have losses too. So, I mean, I can go through my losses too. So it's you got to look at all that stuff. But again, please, I'm just
so.
telling you.
How do you manage the losses, dude? Like, when you have a loss, how do you go make another bet after you lost?
Well, they're small. These are relatively small bets. They're
Uh,
they're
like,
no more than 1% of your portfolio
uh-huh.
at a time. I mean, I would never put a lot on any more than that, because you can get wiped out. Let's just say it this way: when you're getting 300% on a trade, that's great.
Yeah,
That's fantastic, especially when you can make that money in a month. Uh, you just have to know that for every one of those, you're going to have 2 or
Like
3 losses. So you
yeah.
got to size it right.
They can't hear you.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the advantage of just buying the stock, right? Like, you don't have to You don't have to worry about that. You don't have the time situation when you just buy the stock. So it just depends. Like for me, as the market has started pricing the volatility of these things much better, I've just leaned towards just buying the stock. Whereas if I see
When you
like a
talking about the
complete
stock, you're talking
mispricing,
about
then I
IBIT.
might take advantage. IBIT,
Yeah.
MSTR, whatever. I prefer it on MSTR because it's
Now,
just more
anybody that
volatile.
bought
If you're going to do call
STRC, I
options,
know that people have been trashing on Saylor for quite a while, but STRC was at what, 82? Anybody
75.
It was lower. I think it
yeah.
was lower.
75 it went down to.
did anybody bought that shit at 75?
I bought
Is
it. I bought it at 79 and got out at 91, and I
yeah,
collected 4 dividend payments.
that's crazy, dude. That had to feel good.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those ones where you look back, you say, "I wish I did more." Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, position sizing is probably the most important thing you can do when you're taking high risk bets.
Right.
Uh,
Now, wasn't everybody saying that thing was like going to 50 or 40 or like
No, they said it was
that was
going
a
to zero.
no-brainer, guys. I mean, I
when it was 88, they came out and made some crazy statements. I don't know who said it, Fong Lee, I guess. Just ridiculous statements like basically we can burn the furniture to pay the dividends. I just thought that was an irresponsible statement. From that point, maybe 8 days later, it had dropped as low as 75. And then when it started to come back in, I jumped in, figuring that we would grind back to at least 90. Now it's up to something like
97
97 now.
or 98, yeah.
Yeah, so I could have, should
You could have crushed it.
I should have held it longer, but my business partner, he's a more conservative guy. He's like, no one, no looking back on a book profit. You book the profit, you don't look back, and that's probably a good lesson, right? And paper wins and paper losses are one thing, but when you book it, it's a real thing. But I think that STRC product is I'm not a big fan of it. It was a trade for me.
Yeah.
Speaking of bets,
Wait, why
why
I'm
go
curious,
10
why
grand
are
in
you
this year
not
with
a
10 grand? I was offline.
a big fan of STRC, Thomas?
Well, because I don't think that they have an operating model that supports the cash flow, and I think they're. I don't want to use the term Ponzi, but that's the term that's been used. I don't think it's that, but I think they're relying on the next capital coming in the door to pay the stuff out through the dividends, or they're monetizing their stack. Now, for me personally, who am I to tell Sailor what to do? I think they should be running SPACs. I'm not SPACs, special purpose entities, to acquire Bitcoin with other people's money, monetize a portion of that, kind of the cross collateralization version of it, what Grant's doing. Pay that out, give the dividend, and whatever's the net residual you put back into the common shareholder. I think right now the way they've structured all their STR products, they're doing it at, it feels to me like the expense of the common shareholder, and I would like to see it structured a little bit differently. I have MSTR. I trade, I write options against it, cover calls, and I just monetize some of the volatility. I think you do the same thing, British. Um, but I'm just not a fan of the STRC. It is a great dividend. It's pretty nice if you had assurance that they were actually going to pay it and it was sustainable.
Okay.
I thought they had like 3 years of cash reserves to pay dividends.
They do.
They do now.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
look,
they do.
if we go up to 100, 150,
They have more cash reserves to pay dividends, or they have more asset reserves
Uh-huh.
to pay dividends than any other preferred issuer in America. And people are still shitting on the product. Like I really don't know how to make sense of some of the criticism. Like there is, from what I understand, and please prove me wrong if I'm wrong. Like there is no other issuer of preferred equities in American capital markets that has more reserves, liquid reserves, than MSTR. And we hear all kinds of criticisms that
Well,
don't make
British,
any sense.
if you're a common shareholder, they did it at your expense.
Yes, but I understand as a common shareholder of MSTR what the business model is, and what I want to happen is I want him to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. Right now, they haven't been buying Bitcoin, right? What they've been doing is shoring up that product because I've seen the superpower of that product. They've bought 30,000 Bitcoin in a week because of that product. So we need to shore up that product. As the product gets shored up, and the people that I've spoken to in institutional markets don't want that product yet because it isn't proven enough. Things like what just happened make the case better for STRC
Yeah,
going forward. And
but
as that
But
Bruce,
happens,
I could get behind.
MSTR took it in the shorts as a week ago, near 80%.
no, you're absolutely right. And that's part of the deal that you get with owning MSTR. You've got
Meetings
to
will
understand the
continue
trade.
until
If you don't
morale
understand,
improves.
look, you want to crash out on this now, you
I've
can go
crashed
ahead.
out.
It's
It's a
I
fact.
understand.
I
I
only crash out
understand the
with Joe
reality of being
Carmstelli.
an
I do love it
MSTR.
so. I love arguing with Joe. I just love it. It's like an ulcer
I
in your
uh
mouth. You know it's going to hurt if you put your tongue on it, but you do it anyway. That's how I feel about Joe.
I
Big kick
understand.
out
I
of hubris.
understand the I understand the nature of how MSTR moves, why they move, what the business model is. And as a common shareholder, I appreciate what they do and how they're doing it. They're shoring up STRC right now. A few of us said this like last year when they were talking about institutional capital. It was like, yeah, well, you're gonna probably need cash reserves because institutions are not going to look upon a 50 vol asset as a favorable cash reserve, right? Like it's a cash equivalent reserve. So this is a learning process. It's the first time ever in capital markets this has happened. And I think that you've got to support the people that are buying the Bitcoin right now. And MSTR is a massive acquirer of Bitcoin over time, right? Not in the last 4 to 6 weeks, whatever. But he's doing what he's doing for the first time in history with this
So,
asset.
British, I would change my.
So you can criticize it, but everyone will be on MSTR side as soon as the
Yeah,
price starts
that's
rallying. Just
definitely
wait.
true. I mean,
My
we
price,
see.
my my price on MSTR right now. Here's when I think the narrative's going to shift. We get above 160. We close above 160. I think the narrative immediately shifts on MSTR. Everyone's
Do you
bullish
think the
MSTR.
MNAV dislocates from one or no?
No, I don't. I think the MNAV cycles around the Bitcoin stack. That's what I've always thought. The MNAV will go up when we're in a bullish cycle, and the MNAV will come down towards one when we're in a bearish cycle. In fact, that's what you want to happen. You want MSTR to have a higher move to Bitcoin in either direction. I want it to be a speculative platform on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up one, I need MSTR to go up two. If Bitcoin goes down one, I need MSTR to go down two because then it has value. If it has the same volatility as Bitcoin, I'd rather hold the Bitcoin because from a risk adjusted basis, it's better. But I want it to have speculative value. That's what gives it the value in the first place.
So, British, I would change my point of view on STRC if I had there's a little more runway, kind of the same. You know, the reason that institutions probably aren't touching it as much. I mean, it's just
Well, how much more runway do you want? Exactly. You want them to have 90,
I'm
80,
not
100,
really
$120 billion
the
of
thing is, I'm not really a
resources?
dividend seeker, but I mean, if I was, it's certainly in the.
By the way, I agree with you. I don't own STRC because it's not a
Yeah,
product
but
for
I
me,
want to see that the
right?
thing that if I have a concern, and again, I would be open to being convinced otherwise, is they're funding it from the balance sheet and from financing, not from an operating model. And so the
Well, if they had a, this is the problem. We litigated this when all the treasury companies were coming out. The problem with having an operating business is that you've then got the drag of the operating business. You've then got the valuation of the operating business. What Saylor's trying to do is create a direct, unaffected, model for the volatility of Bitcoin and a leverage volatility of Bitcoin. So when everyone's talking about, oh, they don't have an operating model, the operating model actually would harm the acceleration or the amplification, as they call it, on the value of MSTR in
Yeah,
bullish
Yeah,
times.
yeah. Like,
In
I
like,
bearish
like I
times,
have
it
an operating company. Okay, when Bitcoin does good, the operating company is actually going to drag the return down a little bit. But it's the stability of the
however,
operating company that attracts people to onboard into the Bitcoin.
yeah,
Like
I
it's just
like
a different
exactly,
audience. It's
and actually, however,
different strokes for different folks.
yeah, I
And
like
this,
Grant better. I
in
mean,
fact, in a bear market, the having the operating business will do a lot better, right? Because you got that stability, as Grant said. It's in a bull market that you're going to cause drag, and Saylor doesn't want to do that. Saylor wants to be a speculative platform on top of Bitcoin in the purest sense.
yeah, I get that, British. I would say what appeals to me is what Grant is doing, where he's using an operating model with a well understood cash flow model, and hybridizing the capitalization with Bitcoin as an icing to that cake. And I like,
100%.
for me personally,
you like it, but you're not going to invest in it because you're doing you're seeking this other bigger return.
no, I would be interested in some of your projects. I didn't put, when Dark went into the Melbourne project, I considered it, but it's just everyone's doing a different thing, right? I got different
Yeah,
things going on.
no, I get it. No, I totally get it. I wasn't saying that. I was just saying to me, if you're doing 300% returns on a call,
Yeah, that's one trade, Grant. I mean,
yeah,
it's I could go through some of my losers on silver and gold, where I bet on it and it didn't do as well as I thought. But it's for me, it also has to do with age too. Like you get into certain age demographics, you have different goal sets, right? And
yeah,
for me, I'm more interested in protecting the my assets, which I view as family assets for my
yeah, I get
family.
it.
And so it's not so much cash flow and appreciation for me to live and buy groceries. It's more, am I setting up my family and the
Right.
family well? That's what,
But yeah, I want to make that point clear. Like, there's different assets for different people, but MSTR literally has more in reserves than any other preferred equity issuer. More. The reason why they had to go raise the cash was because the reserves are in a 50 vol asset. That's why they got to go raise the cash to put the cash on a balance sheet.
And Saylor, see, he wants to make a big score. Like he's clear. He's
100%.
clear about what he's in it for. He is not trying to change the world.
well, I mean, look, he's going to go back to the top of,
He wants to create tremendous amounts of wealth.
yeah. We get the
Which at
200.
least you know what you know. You know what your jockey wants. Kind of important.
He put the best speech I think he gave was at the keynote in Nashville in 2024. I thought that was great. I watch it. I watch it occasionally just to remind myself about the asset and where this is going long term. But he has this view going out to say,
So are we done arguing then?
well, I'm not arguing
Is
it.
the argument over?
Talking about where I think Saylor has a long term view of the asset where it's going to go into 7 figures. And if he's sitting on 1 million Bitcoin and it's at 7 figures, that's a lot of money.
Sailors, MSTR, when I bought it, the first day I bought MSTR, it was worth $1.8 billion. It might have been less, actually. 1.8 billion. And look where we are right now. And we're in the middle of a fucking bear market. Like, this is going to be the success story in the next decade.
British at 1 million, I mean, his round off, he's at $1 trillion market cap, right?
from
Right.
1.8
So,
billion.
but his view was from Nashville, 2043, 13 million. And you know, you can argue about those kind of long-term projections and how good they are, but that's a point of view that he has, and that's, if you understand that point of view, you understand his behavior and what he's doing. I mean,
The objective for Michael Saylor was to acquire as much Bitcoin as humanly possible under any circumstances without blowing everything up. And I think he's done that. I mean, look how much Bitcoin they've acquired since the last time the share price was at, 500. It's been phenomenal.
Pretty
Like we just
admirable,
haven't
bro.
seen
It's you got to be inspired by that.
fucking
How can you not
unbelievable.
be inspired by that kind of fucking gall, dude?
Grant, did you know him in 2022? Did you
No,
did you
no. I met him
okay, like
in 25, 2020, late
right.
24.
In 2022, Michael Saylor had to deal with the amount. I can't even begin to express the amount of bullshit that this gentleman has had to deal with the bear market in 2022. That was the first time round. And not only were the Bitcoiners shitting on him, finance was shitting on him, Wall Street was shitting on him, everyone was shitting on him. And after going through that, I think he's just got to the point where he's like, oh, okay, let me show you how this is done. But that was the time, man. Like watching him go through that was inspiring. 2022 for me, that's like Michael Saylor's, clanging his bulls. And you could see it on his face as well. Like it wasn't if you know how to be perceptive to that, it was stressful. But he went through that. Like if you think Michael Saylor's stressed right now, like you have no clue who this person is.
And that dude, that builds, that that kind of moment builds people into becoming. I'm going to show you.
Absolutely.
I remember when Trump was at that White House dinner, and they were ragging on him. Obama was ragging on him, like, yeah, but you're never going to be a president. That kind of shit compresses fucking champions into winning Super Bowls. And what he's done, putting
Yeah, it's nuts.
850,000 Bitcoin together and then all the other products, by the way, and then convincing Wall Street, TradFi, to invest in him. He's got money.
Yeah,
He's
I'll tell
got
you where
money from
Michael Saylor
everybody, guys.
really
Everybody, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs. He's convinced them all to play the game.
the reason when this thing really took off was there was a moment. So in Nashville, why Thomas, I can understand, would like that speech really the most is because Michael Saylor still believed at that point that selling Bitcoin to individuals and small business owners and whatever was a good idea. There was a moment in his mind where the switch just flipped, and you could see it literally went from one speech to the next, and he just realized like if they don't want it, they don't want the volatility, they don't want the asset that's doing this. What they want is some kind of safe return and a high yield savings account, and that's when the Bitcoin came. That is when this massive accumulation run happened. That's when STRC and all the preferreds and everything else kind of just started flowing out. But yeah, there was a moment like normal people can't handle this. Like you need business people that are going to handle this, finance guys, and that's what he went after. And it's fucking awesome. Anyone shitting on Michael Saylor really like, I don't know. I lose respect. It's like an IQ test at this point.
I think that's about envy, dude. Really. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but it seems to me it's very popular to hate on successful people. It's not just an American thing either. It happens all
Yep.
over the world.
So I just asked ChatGPT, right? So I said, I want to invest in preferred equities for dividends. Find me which companies have the longest duration of reserves. And it said, do you want dividend runway or underlying asset reserves? I said, dividend runway. Outside of the banks, right? So JP Morgan's number one. They got 52 times annual earnings coverage. This is just cash that they've got sitting there, right? It's JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup. And the first non-bank is Strategy. That's across the entire American capital markets. This is a massive achievement.
Hey, British, are you still in the yield max stocks?
Yeah, because I like the yield harvesting of the volatility. I think they do it better.
So you're having success with those at this rate still?
They pay out the dividends. As long as they pay out the dividends, I expect that as MSTR goes up, they will recover. And as they recover, one of the things that I got wrong was I kind of suspected that we were going into an extended kind of drawdown. And at that point, what I should have done is switched my MSTY position into WNTR, which is the opposite side. If I had done that, that would have been really smart, right? But I didn't do that. So I've been holding the bag. And until I see that we go on another run and we're in a extended bear market, I'll hold on to it because it continues to pay out.
So you think the actual stocks will like end up recovering?
Yes, because if you remember last year, I did a video when they made the change to the prospectus. When I spoke to them, the reason why they made the specific change was that they knew that MSTR was a very high volatile asset, so they wanted to capture upside volatility too. So they changed the prospectus to allow them to do that. And the guy that's actually trading that particular stock, actually executing the trades, is one of the, I think he trades probably the most, I can't remember exactly, like he's like top 3 volume option traders in the United States capital markets. His name's Scott.
What do you think about Coney?
About what, sorry?
It's on the one, CONY. It's on the yield max.
Oh, I don't yeah, I don't know about any of that. I only focus on MSTY, and then on the flip side, when I turn bearish, I'll flip that MSTY position into WNTR. By the way, this is like 5 to 7% of my portfolio at the time, right? This is not a big amount. But if you had held MSTR versus MSTY, because you got the dividend payment in, if you go look at it, on the drawdown side, you would have been better holding MSTY than holding MSTR because you got dividends. Just go look at it from peak to trough on TradingView.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of people really mistook that and don't understand it, right? But if you're holding MSTR, MSTY is basically directionally exactly what MSTR is, except it's harvesting the yield that's being generated. So go look at that on TradingView, and you'll see that if you can factor in for dividends, and you'll see that MSTY went down less from peak to trough than MSTR. Which, by the way, I prefer that because I can handle the volatility compared to STRC. If I was older and I wanted more of a fixed income, I would pivot that to STRC.
And why don't you state your age? I heard that earlier.
I just don't.
Okay, why though? What's the reason? I don't get it.
I don't really know, actually. I don't
Oh,
really know.
thanks for
I
the
just don't. I
honesty,
never
dude. Thanks
have.
for that. I thought you brown
Yeah,
you
I don't really
because you
know, to be
brown skinned
honest.
guys always look younger than you fucking are anyway.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't really know.
You know what they say, Grant? Knock it, don't crack.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Why the fuck are we talking about dividends here? I thought we were trying to get rich.
I don't know. We were talking to Tom. Yeah, well, we can't talk
Now
to you about getting rich because you're in AI
what's
stocks.
happening with Tom Lee, guys? Is Tom Lee going to have a comeback?
I think the guac candles are loading, Grant. I think the guac candles are loading. We're not in a bull market yet. All right, we're in a deer market. Okay, and I think the bears.
Wait, what is a deer market? I've never heard
You
that
never
term.
heard of a deer market, Grant?
Never, dude.
And what, Grant? How have you gotten this successful without hearing
Dude,
about a
I
deer
don't know all
market?
these terms. I've never done a call, a put.
Grant,
I've
you
never
are
bought an
too
option in my life.
successful. You are too successful to not know this term. You're kidding.
No, I'm pretty focused on who's speaking, by the way.
This is Bitcoin AI guy. It's your buddy.
Okay, cool.
All right, deer market. All right.
So
is
there's a bull, there's a bear, and now there's a deer.
yes, there's a deer market. Okay, we got to
Is
hold
it a
on for
fawn? Is
deer.
it a fawn?
No, it's you got to listen, Doe. Okay,
O- Okay,
Grant,
okay,
just
okay,
listen. All
okay.
right, so a deer market is when we're transitioning. Okay, we're transitioning
Mm, mm,
from a bear market into something higher. Right, we're ascending. Okay, we're
mm,
ascending,
mm.
and the bears. You know the bears are right. Obviously,
I,
everyone
I
knows what a bear
I know
market
the
is.
bear. Yeah, I got the bear. Hibernation.
Exactly. The bears are hibernating and they're caught like a
And
deer in the headlights. They're caught. They're scared.
oh,
They're
oh,
frozen. They're frozen
oh.
like British hodl
So it's not
sorting
like a
out.
Bambi. It's not Bambi.
It's Bumby, okay? The bears are bums, right?
Got it. Got it. Got it.
And they're frozen. They're scared. They don't know what their next move is. They're not trained. They're
Now,
not trained.
what are deers? Are deers associated with doomers?
They're associated with losing, Grant. They're associated with being frozen in fear, not knowing their next move. They're gonna say AI is a bubble. They're gonna say there's gonna be a rotation from AI to Bitcoin.
Well, bro, there is going to be. Let's keep it. There is going to be. AI is going to be a failure,
That's what I'm
guys.
saying, Grant. We're in a deer market because you're frozen. You're
Got it.
frozen.
Got it.
You're frozen. That's exactly what the sentiment is. We're in a deer market. The bears are now frozen in fear, and they're not bullish enough, right? We're not quite there yet. And British Hodl is Bambi or Bumby, as I like to call it, because he hasn't flipped bullish yet.
Well, because I didn't buy Bit Deer.
I,
So guys, let me ask you this, guys. Like, is anybody here added at 80,000?
I'm feeling
I
bullish.
mean, I had it below.
Yeah, I feel bullish too, but
Hell yeah.
I mean, could one of you guys that does charts? Is there any likelihood that this thing just runs up and doesn't have a retreat? Because to me, there
Yeah,
would have to be a
I
retreat
Great.
here somewhere.
I'd
Yeah,
like to
great.
give my take too here,
Go.
Grant. But
Go
go
ahead,
ahead, simplest.
Abigail. Take
Okay.
it. You're not. Are you a deer, a doe, a fawn?
So I'm a bull right now, and I'll
Okay,
tell you
bull.
why. So,
Okay.
we have the Leia Halperns or whatever that it's understandable because we've been in this bear market for a while now. But what I do is I take a couple different indicators and I basically track what the trend is, and then I pair that with the MACD. So, like if you look on the 4 hour right now, we're about to
What is the
have
Mac? What is MACD?
MACD is like the moving averages. So
Okay.
when the trend crosses, it's two colored lines, right? And so it either tells you like when they cross, if the move is going to go down or up. And so we're about to cross right now. So we had, that little dump, and now we're about to cross back up bullish on the 4 hour. So I like to look at those higher time frames, like the 4 hour, the 1 day, and the week. And then I pair that with something that's going to give me an idea of what kind of trend we're in. And so I was able to call actually both of these moves, like tonight and before this kind of kicked off. I just say, like, I'm feeling bullish, whatever. Because basically, the MACD will only go so high or so low depending on the trend. And so on the daily, we're actually now in a bull trend. And so it's extremely rare to just then flip back to bear. Because if you look in the past, like when it turns green, it doesn't just go back red like immediately. So in my opinion, I think we're going to go higher. We could, obviously see some little corrections here and there. But when you know that you're overall bullish, like we've been seeing, 77 hold or whatever, 76, and it's not going down, I was like, yeah, I don't think Leia is correct here, because I do think that we've now flipped from bearish to bullish. And I just think everyone's just so used to feeling so negative that like people need to change their moods, and it's happening. But obviously I could be wrong, but that's just my guess.
no, that's exactly what I've been saying. We're in a deer market.
And yeah, I would agree with that, but I'm just going to take a risk here and just say I think that we flip bullish. So I'm just going to take it a step further.
We're in transition, right? We're gonna ascend. We're gonna get to the bull market. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's an intuition, and we just got to hold on for dear life.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
Grant.
we got to call it early, because what happens if the clarity stuff passes or we actually get some sort of legislation actually going through, then, we're going to skyrocket, right? That's what everyone thinks anyway. And that's soon. That's less than a month from now.
Right. Or it could
Well, the
be
actual
a
thing is
sell the
that they've
news, or it could be a sell the news event. But yeah, I believe Abigail's spot on. Grant, yeah, I'm calling. I did back in April, and I got the timestamps and the receipts for it. But I called the bottom in 2022, and then in April, called the bottom price wise for Bitcoin. And yeah, now on the weekly, not to get deep in the woods, but on the weekly, we're coming up to the 50 simple day moving average, and that could be a headache. And then we have a little high pivot there that could also be a secondary pivot. But I believe if we get good news Wednesday, uh, from the what am I thinking? The PCE, I believe it's a personal income, personal spending, that sort of stuff. If we get good news there, and then if Grant can get a hold of Fed Chair Kevin Warsh and kind of jack him up, get some motivation in him, and he comes out very dovish, Jackson Hole with his Jackson Hole keynote address, I think we could be
Did
in
you
the
say
mid.
dovish? You say dovish or deerish?
Oh, dovish. I think we could be by the weekend. By the end of the weekend, we could be, high mid to high 80s if those two things come to pass. But as bullish as I am, I was expecting a pullback. I wasn't thinking that we would be where we are now, and for the chart for the market, we really do need a pullback. And one of the things that we started layering in, going a little bit harder on the dollar cost averaging. By the way, Bridge is a good trader. He was just a little early on a couple of those trades on our on iron and something else. But anyway, yeah.
I just
Whoa, whoa,
did
whoa,
that to
whoa, whoa,
spice
whoa,
up
whoa, whoa, whoa.
AI guy's
Early,
life.
early. That assumes he held. Okay, I think
No,
he
I'm talking
might
about
have
his
his.
short position. He was spot on,
Oh,
but
okay. I think he might just have his antlers on too tight. Okay, I don't think he's deerish enough.
no, no, I don't mess with the in betweens, the transitioners or whatever. I'm full on, 100%.
You're a straight heterosexual. You're not interested in the middle ground.
No, no, I don't believe in transition or whatever in the hell it is. Oh, speaking of funny, Grant, oh my gosh. Man, I listened to those depositions and I barely passed high school government. But man, you made me laugh my ass off on those deal. Raj,
Oh,
man,
dude,
I bet
that's
he,
that's awesome, man. I'm glad you had a good laugh.
well, I mean,
I heard some guy talking about. I saw somebody sent me some Instagram tonight. Some guy's like, he's going to jail. This guy's been defrauding people for years. He's claiming he watched the depositions. He's like, I am 100% convinced this guy's going to jail. He's been defrauding people for years. I was like, oh my God, you didn't even listen to the goddamn thing.
right. Yeah, I'm not going to mention, her name, but my wife, I don't know, it's been a couple of years. She put a little bit of her inheritance money with you. So, I'm just saying, I know it works. I know you're a straight shooter,
Oh
so on and
yeah,
so forth.
dude. Her money's in great hands. That money's just fine. Did she come out of the class action, or did she stay in it, or does
Oh,
she
no,
even
she
have?
wouldn't have done, no, no, she would not have taken part in any of that. No.
Yeah, but all you had to do is not answer. That's the whole criminal part of that deal. If you don't
Oh,
answer their
okay.
email,
Yeah.
If she didn't answer the email, she's part of it. She doesn't even know it.
Honestly, she probably didn't,
Yeah, that's
because, yeah, all the scams and stuff,
yeah, exactly.
emails
So
and
you
stuff
see
she
one of
gets.
those and you're like, I'm not going to answer it, and that's what they bank on. They don't
Wait,
want you.
he's
They
in the
don't want
deal
her to
too.
see.
He's in the
Huh?
deal too. Wait, Cardone, that's you. Oh shit, I think my wife's in there too.
Oh, good.
Let me ask her. Hey, dear, are you in this deal? Dear, hey, dear. I think she's in this deal.
Well, good, dude. I promise not to fuck either one of your wives.
The deer is talking to AI guy right now. I don't know what are you on right now? What is it? What is tonight's drink?
I think we're in a deer market, bro.
Yeah, he's trying.
What are you
He's
on?
running the deer market joke, dude.
Bro, he's having too much fun with those antlers. Those
Sometimes you
long
got to
neck
tell a joke
antlers.
more than once to get it to
Oh, what
catch.
he's doing?
Hey Grant, so
I
what's
I
the
think
next
British has
step,
been
Grant?
catching all night.
Grant, what is it? I didn't watch all the deposition. I watched maybe an hour and a half of it. What's the next steps for you?
Well, between just us, I'm filing a Rule 11 against them. So, and that means they have 21 days, and then I have the right, if they lose the suit, to sue them for
Good,
damages.
good.
So
Yeah,
That's
send
good.
Raj back to Macy's selling perfume. That's what I want you to do.
fucking Raj. I told Raj I was going to make him famous, and I did.
Hey
Tell it.
Joe, hey Joe. I know you're a trader, but I have to ask you an honest question. What is your Bitcoin price target?
Target?
Give me your long term target.
I'm with Saylor, to be honest with
Give
you.
me a number. Give me a number, Joe. Just give me a simple answer.
Well,
I don't.
I'll put
Just
it this way.
give
If
me
we're
In a
give
not,
me
deer
give me an
market,
answer.
dude. In a deer market or a bull market.
Grant, let me just ask him a question. Joe,
But
just
in
give me a
what kind of
range.
market? A deer market or a bull market?
I want Joe to answer because he's a professional. He's a professional navigator of markets. Joe, just give me a range, please.
What are you saying? What am I?
Grant, go after Joe, please. I beg you. I just want to hear Joe's opinion because he's really good with his charts. He called the
Okay. Okay.
bottom
Yeah.
several times.
Cool.
Joe,
Cool.
what is your give us a price target? We're all dying to
well,
know.
okay. Near term, by Sunday evening, if those two things happen, and Grant, if you have any connections, get a hold of Fed Chair Kevin Warsh.
Joe, give us your
And
medium to long term, not just a couple of days.
I
Just
want
give
to
us
know
a
Sunday, dude. I like Sunday.
give me Sunday and
yeah.
then give me 1 to 3 years, please.
Okay, if those two things happen, we get good numbers Wednesday from the Fed, and then Kevin does his job at Jackson Hole. Hole, sorry.
Jackson Ho or Jackson Hole?
I know. I'm still freaked out about that NFL owner. Man, what the heck? You're going to go to a trailer park and for $150? Anyway, squirrel got off track.
Some people
Let's get a
like the hood
target.
rats, dude. Some people
Let's
like
get
the
on
hood
topic.
rats, dude.
Let's get some targets in. Joe,
We're
come
gonna
on.
get there,
Okay.
Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you ain't paying. Fuck, you ain't buying. You hadn't bought a
Dude, I'm
subscription.
paying you. I pay you. I'm a
Joe
subscriber to
can
you.
take
I
as
give you
long
a
as he
dollar a
wants,
month.
dude. This is
Grant, I
free.
give you a
Fuck.
dollar. I give you a dollar a month. I give you a
Okay,
dollar
thank
a
you,
month.
thank you,
I give
thank
you
you.
a dollar a month.
Okay.
Joe, give us a target,
Okay.
please.
By Sunday, like Grant says, we could be mid 80s, high 80s. If those two things come to pass, uh, and then by end of year, if we're not 100,000 plus, I think Bitcoin's in ICU or dead, which it's not going to be. But that's what I'm
Dead.
saying.
What
Well,
about 3 years? What
What do
about
you
three
mean?
years?
What do you
Joe,
mean dead? What?
give me some 1 to 3 year targets,
Well,
please.
hold on, Bitcoin. What does dead mean?
well, I mean, some. Uh, black swan anomaly has happened where all eyes are
Yes.
off of it.
Yes. So you're saying 100 grand's kind of in the bag.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Roger
All right,
that.
let's look at a couple years, Joe.
In a couple of years, we better be 27, 28. I'm thinking 2029, we better be 500,000.
So wouldn't you agree
So
that we should hold on for dear life?
yeah.
Oh my god, dude! All that for that fucking one joke, bro. Jesus Christ, bro! Like,
But see, I'm a
bro,
boomer,
you got some
and I
self esteem issues, bro.
yeah. See, I'm a boomer, and I'm with British. I stick with what I know, and that is, buying and selling off of Thinkorswim or Charles Schwab, and I have a little Bitcoin just to say I'm in the game because I'm on crypto Twitter like back in the day, but really IBIT for the win. Uh, so and then also Thomas.
What does that mean? IT for the win.
No, I'm sorry, Grant. IBIT. That's the
Oh,
ETF. Yeah,
IBIT. It's talking
I
about
got
right,
IBIT.
it for the win. I got it.
right. Yeah, and really at this point, all the
So where does IBIT go by the end of the year?
oh, it man, it'll track not perfectly because an ETF it'll move up with Bitcoin. I think right now 1,700. It's not very much. 1,700 IBIT is right at one Bitcoin. But the advantage of it, instead of pulling out a cold wallet, which you don't know is going to work or not, plugging it in, transferring over there, selling
You-
it,
Are,
or yeah,
are you talking about IBIT,
the
I,
ETF. Well,
the ETF? Yeah.
yeah, no, I was compared it to Bitcoin. That's why I stick with IBIT for doing, the trading part. I can go in and short it, clicking one button, and that's done, or adding to it, so on and so forth. Oh, speaking of adding to crypto exchange, for example, Wells Fargo. I've had a business account with them for 19 years. And everybody up here knows me. I'm the crypto guy because I go in there and give them all hell about crypto and everything. But, they like it. But I got to draw cash out and risk my life getting back in the truck and going over literally around the corner to our personal account at Bank of America, depositing it, and then going to a exchange and buying or whatever. And then the reason why I say all that, come to find out, it wasn't a news disclosure. It was disclosure by one of their quarterly reports. They have well over $1 billion in IBIT, and then have added, I don't know, 200% in just this year to their IBIT. But yet everybody up there, oh no, we don't, the bank doesn't like it, we're not doing it, da 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 da. So anyway, I just, you know, can't trust nobody anymore
You're
Yo,
almost.
saying
Joe, you
Schwab has got a $200 million position in IBIT.
Oh no, Wells Fargo. And
Oh,
Wells
Wells
Fargo,
Fargo. Uh-huh.
yeah,
Got it.
and through my business account, which my checking account, anyway, they won't let me purchase through any crypto exchange, Bitcoin, Antcoin, whatever, Deercoin, whatever.
Yo, Joe, you're an OG, you know that? And Grant, I got a joke for you when you're ready.
No, bro, you're not good tonight, dude.
I'm great.
Okay, hit it.
All right, you ready? Two deer walk out of a.
Dear friend.
Let,
Start
let
with
me
dear
finish.
friend.
All right. Two deer walk out of a gay bar.
Yeah.
One turns to the other and says, I can't believe I blew $50 in there. I can't believe I blew $50 in there.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. HR is going to be calling you in the morning.
I can't believe I blew $50 in there.
Oh, Thomas, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Tom.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Yeah, I got a kind of a serious question. I appreciate you sharing about the golly,
Hey,
options.
simplistic.
Yes, sir.
I can't believe I blew $50 in there.
About $50.
No, yeah,
$50.
Oh, sorry, $50.
I'm telling you. No, Thomas, it's
I missed the Bucks part, bro. I just thought it
I
was funny.
can't believe I blew $50 in
I
there.
can't believe I blew $50 in there, bro.
I
Okay.
can't fucking breathe, dude. I'm sorry.
well. Since we're on that track, do you know how you get four to sit on the same bar stool?
No, how do you get four to sit on the same bar stool?
Turn it upside down.
Oh my God.
Okay, I got to go light a candle Sunday. So anyway, that's not. But anyway, Thomas, I was going to ask
Yeah.
him. What I've been practicing is this, just a 1% gain per week. That way, I can get a better strike price, and then I'll look over at the bid and do the math to try to get just 1%, not get greedy. And then if I get in the money, in other words, I'm selling puts, is what I'm saying. I'm selling puts, and if I get in the money, then I just roll them to the next week. If I'm like down, 3, 5%, whatever. And so far, that's been now I've only done it, for a few months now, just kind of practicing and seeing how it works. And I haven't been, what do you call it when they go ahead and do the insurance? You know what I mean? Where
Yeah. So
like if
if you're writing cash covered puts in an up market, you're gonna you're
yeah,
you're gonna make
yeah,
you're gonna make a good amount of money. The issue is when you run the
okay,
analysis, you're gonna find that you're better off just owning the underlying. So, like, let's use your numbers that you talked about. So we're sitting at 80, and you're saying we'll be at, I'll just say 85 by Sunday. So you buy a cash covered put, you'd probably be better off the premium. Like if you bought a cash covered put at say uh, at 80 for Monday, the amount of you might get, I don't know the numbers. I'll just say it off the top of my head. You might get 2.5 points. Uh, but if you held the underlying, you get, according to your forecast, you get 85, you get 5. So you are going to leave a lot on the table. Uh, uh, where writing puts and writing calls is useful is in a sideways market. Uh, if you're going to go direct, if the market goes directional, if it's going to go down, you buy some out of the money puts, you're going to make some money. And likewise, if you buy some out of the money calls in an up market, you're going to have some outsized returns. Now, whenever you're doing all this stuff, you got to get two things right. It's like a parlay in sports betting. You can pick the game and pick the over under. And the reason the sports books like you doing that is because you get one thing wrong and you're dead. So it is risky to do it. You got to get two things right. You got to get the timing and direction right. Um, so the best education is to do it and lose a lot of money, and I've done that. And I paid my tuition, so I'm fairly conservative in an aggressive structure, meaning that uh, I doing what I'm doing is aggressive, but I do it in what I would call in a conservative manner. Meaning, and I would say mostly I'm sizing my positions um, low enough so that a loss doesn't do anything. So, like if I make 300% on a trade, I know that that's in a bucket of trades where I may have not made any money or lost money, and you're looking for the an aggregate performance. 1% a month, 1% a week rather, is over 50% return for the year. If you can do that, you're in the elite of the elites.
yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, Thomas, and I let them expire. I just do it 1 week at a time. buy on Monday. I mean, sell a put on Monday, let it expire Friday, and like if I'm in the money on it, I'll roll it, to the next week. And so far, been batting 1,000 on this, so that's why I'm afraid to, you know, jump in a little deeper. But yeah, I'm just staying real conservative about it. You know, and because I know I'll get a hit at
Yeah,
some point. That's just the
there's
luck
no,
of the
there's no,
Irish.
there's, you might be batting 1,000, but there's no such thing as doing that forever. It's like that guy who hit 3 home runs his first 3 at bats. Then they benched him because he couldn't get a hit after that. So, uh, d- you know, look, when you're making it, that's great. Just what's one of the things I like to do is if I make it, if like, you know, I have a couple buddies on here and we'll swap messages. And like this morning, he's like, SanDisk is going to go down. I'm like, I wasn't going to play on SanDisk today. So uh, I shorted it now out of market. And as soon as the market opened, I closed it. And it's made a few $100s. And then I just took that exact amount that I made, threw it over to my debit card, and it paid for my dinner out and gas, things like that. So I gamify, make it fun, uh, But I would say if you make some profits, roll it into something conservative, like and in this case, maybe you may make a few $1,000s. You make 10 or 20,000 on a trade. Go buy IBIT or go buy Bitcoin and just let it sit there for a while. And you go back and look and say, that trade I made 3 or 4 years ago, it's now worth a lot of money.
Man, that's beautiful. Yeah, I appreciate you spending the time with me. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't underestimate. I would tell people if you want to go do this, you really got to study up and get somebody who knows what they're doing. And I have some professionals that I'm friends with, and I talk to them a lot about it to help me. And I've made a lot of mistakes and lost a lot of money. So, but don't underestimate the value of making $200, $300, $500 on a trade. Those add up, and I like to size it to discretionary things. To go out to dinner. I went out to dinner last night with my beautiful wife. It was $200. Uh, you make a simple trade. That dinner's covered by your activity sitting at your desk all day.
Yeah, you can't beat that. It's not like Grant that money just keeps pouring in like a river. You know what I mean? So we got to go out and hunt. He's sitting there with a net. He just throws a net in the water, and that flow of capital coming in, throws
Dude,
it out
I,
there and
I
puts
don't,
it.
I don't, I feed the flow, bro. Like I keep working that flow every day. That's the fiat machine. And when it stops even a little bit, I get scared.
Well, Grant, you're in the top of the class. You're in the elite group. I mean, there's obviously guys who are making a lot more than you and doing all that, but in the scheme of things, you're in the top, right? So your flow on your stack exceeds your ability to spend it. So now you are building out, uh, a Cardone Capital legacy for your daughters and your family, and um,
I
that's
hope so. I hope so, man. I hope I could pull it off.
yeah. I mean, like I'm sure you're doing it because my wife follows you on Instagram and she shows me some of the stuff, but I you know, getting your girls in your business is probably a bigger return for you than making
Oh,
money on a project.
yeah, 100%. I got to be sure the projects work too. But yeah, 100%. Most important thing I've done in my life is my kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's your greatest accomplishment, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
can't. I don't want the other things to fail either. So
Right. But like my uncle, a big time rancher, he passed. But anyway, he always said what takes one, two, or three generations to build can be lost in one. And I think he's right. I mean, if all of us look at our lineage, there had to be someone in our family tree that hit it big, became wealthy, and that could have been multi-generational wealth. But, somebody on the tree was an idiot and lost it all, or
Yeah,
did something.
yeah.
I mean, it's hard to maintain it. I've had friends who work for family offices, and what ends up happening is you get down 2, 3, 4 generations from the source of the wealth, and the people did not earn it, so they don't respect it, and it doesn't survive. And if you look at, like,
They're not creators, man. They're managers.
yeah, so if you look, I'll give you two big families. One is the Cargill and McMillan families. That's the that's like the largest private company of Cargill in the country. I think they have 127 people that are sucking on the tit at Cargill, and some of them may be very active on it, but for the most part, they've outsourced the professional management of their firm, and they're just collecting the money, and we'll see how long that lasts, because there's examples where that doesn't. And then you contrast that with the Mars family, and I think they probably have maybe 50 people, but the first generation, that's the oldest generation in the Mars family, they're very active in the firm on a daily basis. So they don't run the firm as much as they have hands on, and again, I would be bullish on the Mars family and probably bearish on the Cargill McMillan family. It's why you got to get your, if you have a big business, you got to get them involved in the business so that they
Yeah,
feel that they have a stake in it,
yeah.
vested, and they have the ability uh, to provide the stewardship for that business for it to flourish. But the thing is, a lot of kids don't want to be in the family business. And that's true at the small end. You own a couple restaurants, you own a couple gas stations or something like that.
Those are tough, man. Those are tough, because that's the other thing. You got to match it up with what they want, and then it's got to be something you can pass on. Not all businesses can be passed on. Like my consulting company, where we do big events, we bring people together. That's a very difficult business to transition to the next generation. But Cardone Capital, that could be. It's got to be a vehicle they can drive, and one that can maintain a long trip too. So
Yeah, it's look, if it was easy, everyone would do it. It's hard. You need to respect what your kids want to do, because they don't necessarily want to follow in the footsteps. But at the same time, I would say this: it's somewhat of a selfish act to bestow wealth on your heirs without thinking it through and putting some strings around it, because there are more examples of screwing people up with unbridled wealth that they didn't earn than there is for something that's more thoughtful about how to do it. I'll give a quick commercial for the Bitcoin Alpha. We hosted. I led a discussion at the last year's conference. We'll do it again this year, where we actually talk about this concept about, yeah, so you make all this money, make all this wealth. What are you going to do with it? You can't spend it all. How are you going to impact your family, the community, your network around you, and what's a thoughtful way to do that? It is a wealth. It's a wealth. Think of it as wealth conveyance, not so much wealth planning.
Oh, there's a individual. I mean, I'm not a co-host or anything. There's an individual that's had his or her hand up for a while over here. Sniper, you want to come on in? I don't want you to feel like we're hogging the stage.
Oh no, you're totally fine, buddy. I really appreciate it. Fred, thank you very much for bringing me on. I appreciate it,
Fred
guys.
has been asleep
Thank
for
you.
2 hours.
Yeah, you know what, Fred? Stay asleep. Hey, Mr. Cardona, it's great to meet you. I actually spoke to your brother a couple days back. Had a phenomenal conversation about Bitcoin and this, that, and the other. Um, it's super awesome to talk to you. I actually was in listeners for a little bit, just kind of listening to what you guys had to say. Great space. I do have a question for you, if you don't mind. And it's up to you to answer, or if you don't feel like that's totally fine. But if you had to choose between, like, holding Bitcoin, just because I know that you guys are, I would consider Bitcoin maxis in some sort of way, right? If you were choosing to hold that for 10 years, investing in your own business, which one would you choose in particular? Is that something that it has ever come across your mind, if you were able to invest that within yourself as opposed to Bitcoin?
I mean, the first thing, depending on where you're at financially, the first thing I would always invest in is myself first. And then second would be my business. And if there's money left over, it would be Bitcoin. But 100% you're only gonna, you can't get better without getting better. And your business can't get better without you getting better. Bitcoin can get better without you getting better, but even if it does and you hadn't gotten better, this goes back to what Joe was saying earlier. Bitcoin goes to 10 million or whatever it goes to, and you got one and you're not better, you're going to blow it anyway. So start of the day, middle of the day, end of the day, get better. And then if you have a business that you can run and make better, that there's nothing that makes money faster than a business that you run, control, and operate. The problem is you got to run, control, and operate it. And then the Bitcoin, you just buy it and wait. It hadn't let anybody down for 15 years. Nobody knows if it will or it won't in the next 15. But
I'll offer. Let me offer this. It's a tale of two cities, right? One person invests in themselves. They work hard. They struggle. They build their own business. And at the end, and let's say that they get to, say, age 50, and they have $10 million. The other person was simply just given the money, and they have the money throughout their life, and they're sitting at 50, and they have $10 million. Who had the better life? Now you could argue that, well, I would love to have 10 million when I'm 18 years old and go do all that stuff. Look, hedonism is, there's no joy in that. It's empty after a short period of time. The person, I would argue, who invested in themselves, built up the business, they had a better life. So that to me, that answers the question on where you put your money first. Put it in yourself, put it in your business, and then invest it in things that can support and drive that for others, to give them, the freedom to do that. Bitcoin is a great thing to go do. If I had to pick one investment for, you had to hold it for 5 years and you had to do it right now, that would be the hands down the one investment that I would do. But I have Bitcoin, I have other things, but uh, a life better lived is one that is experienced, not given to you.
Absolutely, Thomas. I appreciate that. That's a awesome way to put it. Just in your professional opinion as a investor or a trader, Mr. Cardone, um, as of you holding something, right, whether it be Bitcoin or something else, have you ever shorted that same asset during that time, during maybe a downtrend or something like that? Is that something that you would typically do or no?
well, one, I'm not a trader. I've never traded anything in my life. So, yeah, and I've never shorted anything.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just wondering against the asset that you
Now, my
already
brother,
hold, if
my
that's something.
brother, my brother does some of that. I don't know how much of it he does because when he starts talking about it,
Yeah, yeah.
it freaks me out. Like I'm like, bro, like I just don't have. I don't have it. I can't do it. I have no interest in the drama around money. So and
Yeah,
there's
we're
already look, if you're a long term holder, there's drama with money, particularly with real.
right.
I mean, look, the last 2 years has been a lot of drama, or the last 1 year has been a lot of drama or 10 months has been a lot of drama around Bitcoin doing what it's done. So I can't handle any more than that. And life serves enough drama up without money having to be a dramatic thing. But these guys know how to trade shit and look at charts, and I don't know how to do that shit.
That's really cool. Well, it was great talking to you. I actually did talk to your
But
brother
look,
about that the other
Thomas
day.
is only 38 years old, and he looks like he's 100 years older than me.
I-
So that just goes to show you.
I'm 62.
Yeah.
No, that's badass. That's absolutely awesome. Thank you for answering my question. I appreciate it,
Yeah.
guys.
Thanks.
And I think one of the big reasons that some of us boomers are still out here kicking it, honestly, is for the love of the game. I mean, if I was doing something I dreaded and hated, I'd already would have retired, tapped out, or whatever. I'm just trying to see how far I can take it. And be honest with you, and I'm sure Grant, he's doing it for his kids, and I'm doing it for my two granddaughters to leave some sort of legacy to. And hopefully, we'll manage it well. But at the same time, I want them to earn it. Even, when they're here with my wife and I, if they, want to go shopping or do something, I'll have them go out, rake leaves, do something. I want them to feel that it is earned. It is earned. And what it took, for us to get here, they have no clue. Hopefully someday they'll know. But yeah, and people, if you think about it, I think easy money is not respected. Just like if you give something away, a lot of times it's not, respected, like if it's knowledge or whatnot. So that's, you know, uh, I- I'd like to maybe pay Thomas to, kind of coach me up on the game a little bit, for example. Or if I was, had the real estate bug, then I'd be all in on grants, classes and courses and everything. So you're right, you got to put money in to get something out. It's like you got to pump that. Anybody ever been out in the country and had to pump that, prime the well? Got to put a,
You got to work that well
you
before
know,
you get any water, bro.
yeah,
I
absolutely,
I would just say, look,
absolutely.
I was when I was younger, I had a friend had a landscaping business, and he struggled sometimes to get labor. So I had a pretty well paying job in an office, and so I got to use some exercise. So on Saturdays I go out. He got me a crew shirt, and I would work as a landscaper, digging holes and ripping out bushes and doing stuff. And I did it maybe a dozen times, and I was driving a big truck. It was fun, but it was a lot of hard work. And what that did as a young person is it reminded me to as much as a lot of people don't like the desk job or the job they had. I was like, I'm glad I have that job, because the alternative would be I'm out digging holes and ripping bushes out, and that's hard work. But I'll tell you this: at the end of the day, the beer tasted much better than the beer I might go buy today. It's the same beer, but it's that notion that the fruits that come from hard work taste better than the fruits that are given to you. And a lot of young people today, we I think we probably have too much. I don't want to make too broad a generalization, but we probably have too much entitlement, and they want stuff given to them. And there's not a view of the hard work. And maybe this is something that comes out of the boomer culture. That's fine. It is what it is. I'm just telling you what I experienced.
Yeah, Thomas, the other thing is the hard work, though, it was easier to get satisfaction out of it because that desk job, you can't always measure the results. When you cut the trees, dude, move the branches out and bring it to the street and then mow the lawn, like you get to see your work right away. That's why hard work's so cool. And people feel so grounded because like I can measure it. And my desk job, most of the time, dude, I'm in there for 3 and 4 weeks at a time before I actually see a movement.
And, you go to, we all go to the gym or the house gym or whatever and work out, I guess really for me, just try to look good naked. But anyway, but, uh, but when you go
Now
out and
you're
do
gonna
what
have to
Grant's
go
talking
clear that
about,
up on Sunday, bro.
no. But anyway, no, that's just an old joke. What's his name should have been around, and that's some people, that's the only reason why they go to the gym is to. But anyway, there's nothing in comparison to these guys that are working 8, 10 hours a day in this Texas heat outdoors, mowing lawns, doing whatever. Yeah, that's a different type of hustle, different type of, they're just totally built different. Uh, so yeah,
I
I can
I
relate to
I
what you're saying.
appreciate uh I have and since I did that landscaping thing, it forever gave me an appreciation for the blue collar work, the people who make the world run, pave the roads, empty the take your garbage, the roofers, all the people who make stuff, the truck drivers. So I've always been very fond of that whole working class, and I think about where we'd be without it. And a lot of people just would suffer if they didn't have access to having someone do those things for them.
Right, or even coming to the house and fixing something. See, when I grew up, my dad did all that. I was at a friend's house and I walked in and this strange man was in there at straw. And I was going, "What? Hey, man, what's this dude in there?" Oh, he's here to fix whatever it was. And I didn't know people came to your house and fixed stuff. I thought your dad did that. You know what I mean? So that was kind of, you, I mean, obviously I've seen, workers out in the streets building buildings, but I didn't know, you could get someone to come to your house to, fix your toilet or your sink. But yeah, those type of jobs there, everybody knows that. Those type of jobs there, if they're not already, that's they're going to be 100, 150, $200,000 jobs before you know it. You know, plumber, electrician, so on and so forth. Matter of fact, speaking of AI, there's 500,000 electrician jobs that we need because all the baby boomers are retiring and quitting, and not a lot of younger people are jumping on the trades. They've all been brainwashed to go to college and take some fake bullcrap degree and get a lot of debt. I think that was a big scam by the banks, and the federal government to impoverish people
Yeah,
and
I have.
there's no way in the world that from the time.
I have a
Yeah.
meeting tomorrow at a local college with the board. Meet with them occasionally. There's colleges in our town, and so I'm meeting with them tomorrow. We're going to go through, but we're it's a 2-year school, and we're doing a lot of training for people for the next generation of trades. It's not just the classic trades. It's more a lot of advanced trades. Like working in labs and some of the digital trades. And anyway, so I get exposed to a lot of stuff there. So last meeting we had, you know, there's some crazy amount of shortages for advanced machinists, people who actually are making stuff, and it's become a real big issue. And there's a guy you probably know this guy is the narrator. Mike Rowe. He was the narrator for Deadliest Catch. This is his big passion. He's pushing, encouraging young people because there's a large portion of them should probably go into the trades and not go to a 4-year school that has a limited payback. Anyway, so I'm gonna go. I have a meeting tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna have to sign off here because it's getting late. I'm getting the hook, but I would say I have a lot of respect for the blue collar trades, and I think it's going to be very important for America's future to get there, especially when you look at what AI is doing to the white collar jobs. At some point we may see robotics deal with the blue collar jobs, but that's, I think, some time away. So, but I am going to have to sign off because it's late and it's 1 a.m. here in the East Coast. So I'm going to have to sign off.
Okay.
All right.
Gotcha. Hey, great
Likewise.
talking to you, Thomas. We've followed
I
you a
see
long
you.
while. All right, sir. We'll be in touch. Okay. Hey, Fred, you there, brother? Okay. Are you all right? Hey, we're going to be out